Pirates Fire Dragon Roar Chapter 781-800. Chapter 781 Wanokuni arrives. Explode. The terrifying explosion swept the sky and destroyed everything. The earth-shattering explosion caught everyone's attention in just an instant. The battle has stopped in an instant. With such a powerful explosion, no matter how savvy people are, they will not be able to continue the battle as if nothing had happened. Of course, everyone's eyes are blocked by the sky in the distance. Above, a huge fireball attracted the past. Yes, the power of the explosion is undoubtedly strong. It is a terrifying force that can easily change the terrain and destroy the entire battlefield. If it really explodes in the middle of the battlefield, then there is no doubt that whether it is the pirate fleet under the command of the beasts or the fire dragon, the fleet will turn to ashes in an instant. But no, in fact, no such thing happened. The strong explosion did not happen on the battlefield, but in the distant sky, the sky far away from the battlefield. Hey! A strong storm suddenly hit, and the unusually handsome man pressed the hat on his head and made a clear slash, and the enemy in front of him was instantly divided into two. What is this? Explosion. It seems right. The right hand slammed hard, the huge Orochi swept like a whip, the cabin protruding from the deck was directly smashed, and the enemy blocking the front made a cracking sound, and the body was like a rag doll. It flew into the sky, and then fell powerlessly to the sea. What the hell is going on here? Waipa thought so. Hey, you bastard! Jumping into the air to avoid Waipa's sweeping attack, Cavendish's face was full of annoyance. Is it revenge on this young master? How is that possible? Waipa smiled. Wow, what a familiar light. Vivi squinted. The huge fireball hanging in the sky released strong light and heat. Just looking at it would have a strong dazzling feeling. Vlad chuckled lightly. Such a scene is indeed a bit familiar. I have seen the same scene before, and it is also a very amazing scene. The powerful force that can easily sink an island into the bottom of the sea is really quite familiar. So, is this the backhand of the beasts? So this fleet is just a test, right? The chef looked surprised. It's hard to imagine that Kaido guy has such an idea. All know, Kaido of the Beasts is an undeniable martial artist, and his fist is his most powerful weapon. Never thought that this guy would do such a thing. Kaido, ha. Vlad smiled. Forget about that guy. Do you think he can use his mind to solve things that can be solved with his fists? That guy is not lacking in brains, but simply despising them. Because fists are enough, so it doesn't matter if you don't use your head. Indeed. Chef nodded. This is not the usual style of the beast pirates, so who is planning this? Who knows? Vlad pouted. Who cares about him? Ha ha. The chef smiled awkwardly. Crack. Enel, who had gone to deal with the matter, had finally returned. Good work, God. Vlad turned his head and said with a smile, you did a pretty good job. You saved this fleet. Hey. With a smile on Enel's face, this god has never had such an idea from the beginning to the end. Well, it's natural to think and act differently. Vlad said so. But, Captain, that thing. Enel Vivi squinted. Is it dynamite rock? Where did the beasts get that kind of thing? Although it has not been in contact with the explosive rock, it does not prevent Enel from recognizing the appearance of this kind of thing, because the feature is too obvious, and a powerful explosion will occur when it comes into contact with the air. The truth. Using observation hockey, on the chaotic battlefield, I heard a movement that was completely motionless with the surrounding fear. Then I noticed the existence of a small conspiracy. Needless to say, I easily rushed over and killed a black one. Man, before the explosive rock exploded, it flew into the distant sky with it. Naturally, it's a really interesting category. You can turn yourself into an element. What's even more amazing is that even things that come into contact with your body can also turn into elements, clothes, weapons, and other things. So, Enel, it was very easy to take the explosive rock to the distant sky, and then there was extra time to turn it into lightning and run back, and the speed was quite amazing. Where did you get it from? Was a disdainful smile on Vlad's mouth. Don't ask this kind of non-technical question. Does anyone else have this? I don't know where the dynamite rock was mined, but what we can know is that only the government has reserves of this thing, so the question of where it came from is of course very meaningless. Okay, this battle should be over. It's no fun to play for too long. Let's go to Wano-kuni for dinner. Vlad smiled. Let Moria come on. He's suffering too, right? I've been looking forward to what happened this time. Let him vent his anger first, and don't get hot-blooded in the next battle. Yeah. The chef nodded. Hee 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 hee. Sharp laughter suddenly spread out, and the overwhelming black bats suddenly surged out from the rear of the fire dragon fleet, covering the beast pirates' fleet like black waves. Call out your shadows. Call them all. Moria was very excited, so the battle didn't last long and it was over. She was already at an overwhelming disadvantage, and the beast fleet, which had gathered 120,000 points of courage before it collapsed and retreated, was finally on the offensive. Completely defeated, in such a battle situation, adding another Shichibukai-level combat power, what kind of consequences will it lead to? Naturally needless to say. Moria had a good time. It was the foreplay before seeing Kaido, and she had a lot of shadow reserves in her hand. Then, with no intention of cleaning the battlefield at all, the large fleet continued to go, and it didn't take long for a strange scene to appear silently. The world is raging like the end of the world, and even the scale of the fire dragon fleet is like a powerless leaf in such a wave. Seeing such a scene, Vlad of course understands that Wano-kuni has arrived. Chapter 782 Login. Failed. The dimly lit room, the general of Wano-kuni was talking to someone, and he seemed to be indifferent. Of course, the news of the destruction of the pirate fleet he sent came back soon, and there was no one who could contact him. Then of course, the destruction of this fleet is a foregone conclusion. What a pity. I don't see any pity. You mean? The opposite side, the man with a mask on his face, a white robe and a sword slung around his waist smiled lowly. Ha ha ha, you're really interesting. You don't feel frustrated at all by your failure. If you fail a simple move and you are frustrated, you should go back to your mother's arms earlier to feed. His Excellency the General smiled and sneered. Ha ha ha, I kind of understand Kaido's feelings. The masked man, of course, can't be anyone else. The only thing that the sea would wear like this would be Tenryubito's shield, CP0 Feet's agent, the man said with a low smile. It's a miracle that you are still alive. I want to say this to you too. General said casually, if you are so arrogant, be careful not to be noticed by that guy Kaido. He doesn't have the patience to cooperate with you like me. Prepare to die then. Aren't we partners? Masked man smiled. Our goal is the fire dragon, and it is on the premise of this goal that we cooperate. So, you will cover us, right? Don't worry. General laughed softly. I will protect you well until your usefulness is exhausted. Hello. Is it too lenient? The face of the masked man grinned. We are good partners. Since it's a good partner. The general's eyes looked straight at the saber on the man's waist and smiled. Give me your knife. Oh, that's not going to work. With his hand on the saber at his waist, the man smiled. It's not easy to find a knife that can cut people as comfortably as this knife. How stingy. The general twitched the corners of his mouth. What do you want to do next? The masked man didn't care about the general's words, and said casually, I didn't bring a few dynamite rocks here. Next. General replied, just wait and see what happens. Huh. The masked man looked a little confused. We have no chance of winning until Marine arrives. Quote. Wano-kuni is a closed country. It is no secret, as long as people who know this country basically know such things, and there are two reasons why they can safely close the country. One is naturally that the domestic samurai have extremely strong even in the Kingdom of Giants, which is known as the strongest country in the world. Elbaf may not have Wano-kuni's ability to fight. If there is such a storm, it's no wonder that no one can disturb them. Flying on the platinum D-drag above the sky, the chef sighed. No wonder even Marine can only ignore this country. Terrifying waves, undulating waves on the sea surface. Obviously there is no sound of wind, but the waves that do not know where they come from do exist, and this is the biggest obstacle that prevents Wano-kuni from connecting to the outside world. Whether the people inside want to come out or the people outside want to come in, such huge waves are the biggest obstacle. Ah! What is this? The ocean current. It is the ocean current. The ocean current here is so complicated. Is this Wano-kuni? What is that? Above the sea in the distance, black shadows began to float towards this side, and each shadow had a huge body size and was not under a big ship. It's a fish. It's a carp. Under the sea, one by one carp charged directly towards this fleet. Why are there carp in the sea? No, we're not in the sea anymore. We're in Wano-kuni. We're in an inland river now. Damn it. What a big river. That's not what you should be concerned about. They've already collided. Fire! Fire! Focus and kill them. Boom 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 boom. Without command, the artillery had already sounded, which was far larger than the previous battle with the beast fleet, and the overwhelming cannonballs had already blasted towards the fish in the water. Bang 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 bang. The water column rose into the sky, and countless shells covered the water like rain. The big fish was instantly bombarded by the saturated shells. It is the instinct of all creatures to dive into the bottom of the water in an instant and dare not to emerge again. However, this current is really troublesome enough. Vlad looked a little unhappy. Although the fish was dispersed, the situation of the fire dragon fleet below was not very good. The strong eddy current made them constantly collide with each other, and maybe one or two would sink. Jinbei, don't stand still. Act for me. Vlad yelled with a phone bug in his hand. Leave it to me, Captain Vlad. A man's voice full of energy came from the opposite side. Then, a strange change appeared. Above the water surface, the strong eddy current gradually ceased. PFF'd. The bluefish man emerged from the bottom of the sea with a loud voice. We will open up the road ahead. Just go forward. The fish man can interfere with the ocean currents by moving rocks on the bottom of the sea. Whether it is to raise a big wave or calm the current, it is not difficult for the fish man. Oh, Boss Jinbei, what a beautiful job. Ha ha ha, Fishman's partner, it's so reliable. The vortex in front began to subside gradually, so the huge fleet was able to continue moving forward. Gradually, it didn't take long. Ahead, a huge waterfall had appeared in front of the fire dragon fleet. Here. Behind Vlad, Sakata pursed his mouth unconsciously when he saw this big waterfall. This is not an unfamiliar place. I can't seem to get up here. Vlad turned his head with a smile. Sakata, over there. Quote. Sakata was stunned for a moment, then stretched out his right hand and pointed to the side. Land, over there. Oh, understood. Vlad nodded, picked up the phone bug. Everyone has it. Turn right rudder, 2 o'clock, going. Without any hesitation, since it is an order from Lord Hualong, then follow it. It didn't take long for going. The land had already appeared in front of everyone. Hey, it's finally here. Wano-kuni. Fred laughed. Then log in. Chapter 783. The goal is the flower capital. Report. Boss Jin. A certain soldier looked very panicked, stumbled into a huge room, and looked a little scared. Enemy attack. Enemy attack. An enemy attack. In the dimly lit room, the sturdy man put down the huge piece of meat in his hand, wiped his greasy mouth, and said in a condensed voice, Has the fire dragon attacked? It's really fast enough. Although I knew that the fire dragon pirates had arrived near Wano-kuni, I didn't expect it to come so quickly. Jin was a little worried, and he wasn't full yet. If he fought now, he would feel a little uncomfortable. No. Xiaobin gritted his teeth and said loudly, The enemy is not the fire dragon pirates. What? Jin Yi stunned. The enemy is not the fire dragon pirates. What does it mean? What the hell is going on? You tell me clearly. I don't know where they came from. Anyway, it suddenly appeared and said that they wanted to shoot Kaido boss, and the patrol team decided to kill them immediately. The soldier suddenly flinched. What happened after that? Kim said impatiently. Those guys are quite strong. Xiaobing lowered his head. We are not opponents. What? Jin Yi frowned. They're already rushing this way now. The soldier said loudly. Really, forget it. In order to save time, I'll take a trip myself. Jin stood up. How could such a thing still happen at such a time? It would really cause trouble for people. Do you know their identities? Yes, Boss Kim. The soldier said loudly. They are the Straw Hats. Quote. Tisk, what a place I haven't seen in a long time. Standing on a wasteland with some emotion, Vlad looked very emotional. This is curry, isn't it? It's almost impossible to recognize it. It was almost impossible to recognize it, but it was finally recognized, and it was indeed the place where he had been for a few weeks, the curry area of Wonokuni. It has actually become like this. It's completely different from what I've seen before. Although curry was not very prosperous before, it is still a beautiful place after all. The beautiful scenery makes people intoxicated. There was nothing left, and in front of Vlad, there was just a desert, trees, fields, people, rivers, nothing, and some were just barren. The breeze was blowing, and the sky was flying sand and rocks. Quote. Sakata stood blankly behind Vlad, expressionless. What's the matter? Vivi, the big cat named Cat-Bellied Snake, trembled. Here, is it really curry? Although I haven't come back for decades, the memory of curry still hasn't gone away. Is the beautiful place in my memory really the same place as the deserted place now? That guy Kaido. Duke Inuarashi clenched the hilt of the sword in his hand tightly, grinned, revealing a mouth full of sharp teeth. His voice was quite loud. What the hell did he do? Call. Slowly heaving a sigh of relief, Banshin leaned down, grabbed a handful of sand on the ground, squeezed it lightly, and the sand was already scattered from the gaps between his fingers. What are you? A loud roar came from a distance, but immediately, before the words were finished, the voice of the speaker immediately dropped, as if he was startled. Who what? The weak voice that followed sounded rather lackluster. I was on patrol, and then I heard some noise from here, so I came over to have a look. I saw a figure unexpectedly, and when I was about to yell, I really saw what was in front of me. People, densely packed people, standing on a small hillside, a man riding a big dog with sweat on his face. His body is even trembling in Vivi. What catches his eye is a densely packed crowd. Do not know the extension no matter how far you go. It is as vast as the sea, and you can't see the edge at all. Fire dragon pirates. He finally came back to his senses and knew what kind of guy he was facing. Oh, information has arrived. Vlad smiled. Captain. Sakata stepped forward. I'm going. As you wish. Vlad said casually, but at least leave me one who can torture the intelligence. Yeah. Sakata nodded. Hey. In an instant, Sakata's figure had disappeared. Looks like this kid is quite angry. Enno leaned over to Vlad and smiled. It's finally time for revenge. The chef said with a deep feeling. It's natural to feel angry when you find that your important things have been destroyed in a mess, right? Hey, it's like when you saw your dream land. The moon was that ghost. Vlad turned his head with a smile, and his smile was full of jokes, probably in a similar mood. Hello. Enel, rare fried hair. While chatting here, the battle on the other side was almost over. Sakata's strength was overwhelmingly strong compared to this group of patrolmen, and it was completely unreasonable. No knife drizzle. Figures flickered through the crowd, and with the low voice of a man, the battle came to an end. Crack crack crack. Rain falls from the sky, bringing rain of death. Ah. What is this? It hurts, it hurts. Of course, it's not rain, but slashes. Small slashes like rain fall from the sky, covering all the patrolling soldiers directly. All the patrol members immediately fell into a pool of blood. Crack. The solid shoes stomped heavily in the blood, and the blood splashed all over his face, but the man lying on the ground really had no intention of resisting, or in other words, he did not have the strength to resist. "Tell me everything you know." He heard a voice like this from the sky. "Oh, so that guy Kaido has already shrunk all his troops to that place called the Flower City." Vlad nodded. "Are you planning to have some foreplay and directly compete with me?" "It's quite bold, as expected of that guy Kaido." "Then there's no more hesitation. Come on guys. Don't keep Boss Kaido waiting. The goal is the capital of flowers." Genius website address. Mobile version reading website, M. Chapter 784 The Beginning of the War. Stuck in the way. Bastards. In such a low voice, a yellow-haired man with a pipe in his mouth whispered and jumped, "Devil's Wind Foot Spectral Mazer." The scorching kicks that fell from the sky were violent like a storm, and the miscellaneous fish pirates in front of them could only scream and fly out constantly, exuding a disgusting smell of meat, and the scorching temperature would melt away just by touching it. The feeling that the bones have been scorched is really a terrifying attack. Black Rope Tornado. The corners of the mouth pulled a meaningful smile, and the violent slashes had already whizzed out, and a black tornado suddenly formed, entangled, swept, whistled, and rushed towards the enemies in the distance. The powerful force directly sent countless enemies involved in it. Blood flowed out in the tornado, because the strong centrifugal force flew into the distant sky. "Since it stands in our way, then." Putting the sword in his right hand on his shoulder, the green-haired man smiled and said, "Then be prepared to escape even if you reach the end of hell." "Really?" After knocking down a rushing enemy with a stick, Nami complained, "How many enemies are there?" "Ada, Ada, Ada." The little reindeer jumped around like a martial arts expert, and could blast away more than a few enemies with one punch and one kick. 1,000 purples and 1,000 reds. He put his hands together in front of his chest, and behind his back, countless arms stretched out. In just an instant, 2 huge long legs were formed, and no special moves were needed. Just stepping down would be able to smash countless enemies. Ah, it's really annoying. With such a roar, the pervert in swimming briefs stretched out his hands. Beep. View. Quote. The shining laser shot out suddenly, a powerful explosion suddenly formed, and another piece of pirates was blown away. Hey, there's no end to this amount. The huge hammer in his hand suddenly slammed into a certain pirate, causing the pirate to faint. Yo ho ho ho, be careful, brother Usopp. With a gloomy laughter, the pirates who tried to approach Usopp were instantly frozen. Even though the Straw Hats did their best, the number of pirates on the other side did not decrease in the slightest, and there was no end in sight. Brother Luffy. A little worried raised her head. The little girl looked worried. "I'd better retreat first. If you continue like this, the winning rate is really not high." "Hee hee, peace of mind, Xiao Yu." With a bright smile on his face, he pressed the hat on the head of the little girl Xiao Yu. The Straw Hat smiled, "Since I promised you to fly Kaido, then I will definitely do it." But Xiao Yu pulled the brim of the straw hat on her head with both hands. Da-da. Taking 2 steps forward slowly, Straw Hat's eyes suddenly stared. Om. Invisible air waves spread out, roaring in all directions like a landslide. Hey. What? This is. Countless pirates who were close to the Straw Hat group only felt their heads go white, lost consciousness instantly, fell to the ground weakly, and couldn't get up again. This is. The more powerful pirate, who has not lost consciousness, fell to the ground softly. His face was covered in cold sweat, and he also lost the strength to continue fighting, same as the boss. Well. Straw Hat's eyes narrowed suddenly. Boom. Black shadows fell from the sky, heavy bombardment on the ground, and the smoke suddenly filled everywhere. Here comes a great one. The green-haired swordsman clenched the sword in his hand. Watch out, Miss Nami, Miss Robin. Sanji's caring lady as always, the enemy is very strong. Conqueror Haki. Such a voice came from the smoke, and along with the sound of heavy footsteps, the man's tall figure gradually revealed, "Are you a Straw Hat?" What a surprise! This person is. In the rear, cold sweat seeped out of Xiao Yu's face. The big sign of the 100 Beasts Pirates. This man is the gold. Words are useless, battle decides everything. The other side. Has that fire dragon guy landed in Wano Kuni? With an excited smile on Kaido's face, he turned his head gently, and the crackling sound suddenly came out. He had been waiting for a long time. Kaido was actually looking forward to the battle with the fire dragon. Kaido was a guy who wanted to die, and the fire dragon not long ago killed Charlotte Linlin. Ha ha ha, then let's go. It's time to fight. Kaido stood up, and below, several figures suddenly stood up. The Beast Pirates suffered heavy losses in the previous battle when the Fire Dragon Pirates ascended the throne, the second of the three disasters. Quinn died in battle. Fortunately, it is not only Vlad who has a high appeal in the pirate group, Kaido is also the same. The loss at that time has been made up, and new cadres have long been selected. Huh, where's that guy Kim? Kaido suddenly realizes that the number of people is a little off. There's a group of pirates coming to die, and Boss Jin has already dealt with it. Also tall, one of the original three disasters, Drought, Jack, replied, should be back soon. Then let him hurry. Where's Kurozumi? Kaido strode out of the room, then asked again, the bastard isn't here either. The guy doesn't know where he went, but he should be back soon, right? Jack said so. Already back. Such a voice came from one side, and Kurozumi Orochi with a sword in his hand had appeared at the door of the room, with a faint smile on his face. Is it time to dispatch? What the hell are you doing? Kaido walked to Kurozumi Orochi and looked down at His Excellency the General. Relax. Kurozumi Orochi laughed. We are allies, and the fire dragon is also my enemy. I just prepared a little bit to actually defeat that bastard. Don't think too much. Cut. Kaido snorted in disgust, turned his head and strode forward. Behind him, the officers of the Beast Pirates and Kurozumi Orochi immediately followed, and the battle was about to break out. Outside Wano Kuni, on a certain sea area not far away, the white sails have been staying for a long time. The fire dragon has landed in Wano Kuni, and Kaido is ready to go out. It's time for us to go out. A large ship in the center. Fujitora hugged one wrist and ate noodles in large mouthfuls, listening to the voice of the beautiful woman next to him, and said with a smile, is it finally time? Ah, are you going to fight again? There is a chair next to Fujitora, and a lazy man is lying on it. Very lazy. No, I'm going to die without Gion-chan's encouragement. Gion-chan, go on a date with me after the war is over. Ha 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 ha. Fujitora laughed loudly. I still haven't forgotten Miss Gion even at this time. Chaton Tokikake bro. Fight now. Beautiful woman, Vice Admiral of Marine Headquarters, Momoshige Gion, extremely powerful swordsman. Just give me some seriousness. Although a lot of power from Marine went to the other side because of the movement made by Dragon, the power that came to this side was also not weak. The scale of the war is quite amazing, and this is about to break out. Chapter 785 Undercurrent. Who? The man with a conspicuous wound on his forehead was wearing rough clothes, his face was covered in sweat, and he looked very uncomfortable. Just kidding, this guy is too strong. Whoosh. Boom. He watched helplessly as his partner was bombarded by the enemy again and crashed into the house behind him, causing the sky to be filled with gravel and bricks. The man with the long nose looked terrified. This is Guy. Is it a monster? The battle is still going on. The battle between the Straw Hat Pirates and the 100 Beast Pirates, the leader of the three disasters, Jin, is still going on, but it seems that the battle is not going well. The terrifying combat power shown by Jin is really shocking. As an opponent, after the Fire Dragon Pirates, he has never encountered such a powerful guy. Ha ha ha, is this not going to work? The tall figure fell from the sky, and the huge fist slammed down heavily. Cut. The two knives in his hands were raised, and the dark hockey was attached to them, and the knife in his mouth mixed into the most indestructible defense. Boom! The ground shattered like a foam, and a huge pothole suddenly appeared. The terrifying force directly burst into the green veins on the green-haired swordsman's arm, trembling constantly, as if it would be broken at any time. It's really amazing power. Zoro didn't lower his head even under the bombardment of such a terrifying force. Instead, he smiled excitedly. Is this the power of the deputy of the four emperors? Like a gun. With a loud roar, the huge pitch-black fist had already slammed towards Jin, and the air made a distorted explosion as if it was torn apart, and the terrifying power even formed a shock wave. Huh! Turning his head casually, Jin tapped lightly on the ground, and as the ground shattered, his body roared away again, directly facing the heavy blow of the straw hat. Boom! There was a scorching smell in the air, which was the sound of the air scorched by the high temperature generated by the collision of the two men against the bang, and the violent wind blew because of this. Hey! With a deep laughter, Jin secondly exerted his strength. Hey! The straw hat was blasted out directly. Even though he had used the power type 3-block move, he was blasted out. In terms of strength, he really lost to the man in front of him. Hey 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 hey. Jin gently landed on the ground, laughing loudly. Is that so? Straw hat, if it is, then all of you will die here. I don't have any extra time to play with you, the boss is still there. Waiting for my father. Quote. Hey, Luffy. Holding the weather stick in her hand, she shrank back. Miss Nami, who was completely unhelpful in this kind of battle, said a little worriedly that the opponent was not just Jin alone. As time went by, more and more the people from the 100 Beast Pirates began to rush over, and the situation of the Straw Hat Pirates was getting worse and worse. You guy. Slowly standing up from the ground, the Straw Hat picked up his own straw hat from the ground, patted the dust, and hung the straw hat behind his back through the strap on the straw hat. Then, he looked at Jin with a serious expression. It's the ability. The person. Well. Jin raised his eyebrows. You want to say this? I was aware of the top war 2 years ago. The straw hat said this, and the right arm was covered with a dark layer of haki. My strength is still weak. I can't protect my friends, so I have to become stronger. A trick to deal with monsters like you. Huh, Luffy. The curly-browed cook who stood up from the ruins looked a little surprised. Do you want to use that? But. Zoro, take the others and go first. Straw Hat didn't look back. I'll deal with this guy. Oh. Green Algae nodded lightly, turned around and ran towards his friends. Let's go. Hey, Zoro. The reindeer doctor looked a little surprised. Trust Luffy. Zoro didn't look back. He's going to be the One Piece King of Pirates man. Oh. Jin looked a little surprised. I want my partner to go first. He's really a good captain who thinks about his partner. Ha 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 ha, but it's useless. I'll catch up and kill them right away. You don't have this chance. The Straw Hat whispered. His right arm was already in front of his mouth. Shift 4. Dash 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 dash. I heard the name of a familiar person. In the dim alley, the unfortunate beast pirate soldier fell to the ground. He had already lost his life. Blood flowed out from under him, forming a small pool of blood. In front of the corpse, someone hidden in the darkness said with a low smile, that guy is here too. Straw Hat, you really have the courage to join this war, but the courage is still the same as before. He, talk about drafting caps. Behind, a man sitting on the back steps laughed mockingly. Isn't that your greatest shame? Little devil, it seems that I have to teach you what it means to respect seniors. The man turned his head with a dangerous tone. Oh, let's try it out. He. The guy who seems to be a junior is not afraid at all, senior. Okay, you two. Finally someone came out to smooth the game. Now is not the time to quarrel, don't forget what our purpose is. Cut. Seemingly unhappy, the junior finally did not speak. Then what about the Straw Hat? The man who rounded up the field asked, "It does seem to be a strong group of fighting forces. Also, their purpose is very close to ours." The man who spoke first said so. "That means pulling them in too." The man who rounded it up said, "Good attention. Hey, since the seniors who suffered from the straw hat said so, I naturally have no opinion. Then, let's decide. Dash 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 dash. Kaido has been dispatched. In a palace in the center of the Flower City, a group of people were communicating. All of them were wrapped in white robes and masks on their faces, and the leader said, "The war is about to start. Hey, isn't this what suits you best?" The warden. A certain guy lifted the mask directly, revealing a big rosacea, took out a wine bottle and poured wine into his mouth, while teasing. "Don't call me by that name." CP0, who was chatting with the general before, with a knife on his waist. "However, the battlefield is indeed the most exciting place, he. Deep laughter emanated from behind the man's mask, a chilling fear. "Get ready," he said, "we have to properly complete the tasks assigned by the government. He, I really don't understand what those old men are thinking. It's such a time. Our enemies are not just pirates. Fujitora is Neptune's nemesis. On the sea, the huge warship is like an island-like going. The sails that cover the sky are not far from the Fire Dragon fleet commanded by Vlad before. The size of the warship is quite amazing. Such a gathering of warships will immediately make people understand what is called the strongest force in the world and what is the overlord of the sea. How far is it from Wano Kuni?" Standing on the bow of the big ship, Fujitora asked without looking back. "It will take about an hour or so at our speed. We will be able to see the coastline of Wano Kuni." Behind her, the skinny old grandmother spoke lightly. "But would you really like to come with us?" Fujitora turned around with a warm smile on her face. "This time the battle will not be easy." "Stop joking, Isho," Suru Vice Admiral said softly. "Now that the sea is shaking, the government has reached the most difficult time. There is still a stable place in the world." "Yes." Fujitora scratched her head. "To get real security," Suru Vice Admiral said, "it is more feasible to obtain it with the guns in our hands." Ha. Fujitora burst out laughing. "That doesn't sound like something an old woman should say." "Well." Fujitora was stunned for a moment, then lowered her head, looking a little surprised. "What's wrong?" Suru Vice Admiral wondered. "Isho. How do you say it?" Fujitora put his hand on the handle of the knife in his hand, a little surprised. "Such a thing, I don't know where to start. Anyway, please take a look for yourself." The purple halo spread in an instant, but in the blink of an eye, the entire fleet was shrouded, and the huge marine fleet escaped the control of gravity and flew into the sky. "What?" Suru Vice Admiral was stunned for a moment, and some did not understand why Fujitora made such a big battle. Boom! The sea suddenly began to swell, and there was no wind and waves, but it did indeed roll up the earth-shattering huge waves. "This is..." Suru Vice Admiral's eyes flashed with a trace of horror. He has seen it, what seems to be under the sea. Huge shadows wandered under the sea, not one, but one, a huge black shadow. Dash 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 dash. What? Lying on top of his big boat, Vlad held a phone bug in his hand and spoke to the person on the other side of the phone. "Fujitora is on top. There's no way, it's a pity, if that guy wasn't there. It's not impossible for Bo to kill Marine. Forget it, let's retreat. It would be stupid to have to do it even if you know you can't do it." "Yes, Boss Vlad." On the other end of the phone, a very sweet woman's voice came over, looking very depressed. "Hey, there's no need to be upset, little Shirahoshi." Vlad smiled. "It's been a great job. Only this time was not so lucky." But. The other end of the phone, the girl looked very disheartened. Obviously, he has already agreed to help Boss Vlad, but, but can't do anything without it. You. The girl seemed to be crying. Okay, little Shirahoshi. Vlad comforted, if it doesn't work this time, it's better to help next time. It's not the only chance. It's the biggest help that I need to cry at this time, and let me dedicate my extra energy to comfort you. Get busy. Yeah. Although she was still crying, she had stopped crying. Then protect yourself from now on. On my side, the battle is about to begin. Vlad said this. In front of you, you can already see a huge city appearing on the horizon, the capital of Wano-kuni, the capital of flowers has finally appeared. That is to say, the battle should begin. Kaido is right there. Okay, boss Vlad. The beautiful mermaid princess answered loudly, I won't cause you any more trouble, boss. Haha, so cute. Vlad said with a smile, it's really for a lovely girl. Has the battle failed? Vlad just hung up the phone when the maid behind him said so. Ah, failed. Vlad said casually, but he didn't seem to care too much. It's really unfortunate. That guy Fujitora was sent over again. Tisk, that guy's abilities are really troublesome enough. Really? The maid also looked helpless. Fujitora's ability was really too strong in a sense. Not only destructive power, but also all kinds of other uses were surprising. But it is. Vlad sighed. Shirahoshi's abilities aren't fully developed yet. Shirahoshi is naturally that Shirahoshi, the mermaid princess of Ryugu Castle on Fishman Island, a non-staff member of the Fire Dragon Pirates, Vlad's younger brother, younger sister. His real identity is Poseidon, the Sea King who is one of the three ancient weapons, has the ability to command all the Sea Kings. This time the battle against Marine is to let Shirahoshi come over and kill the Marine fleet directly at sea. The attack from the depths of the sea, even if Admiral led the team, I am afraid it will not be so easily spared, unless, Kuzan that guy is still in Marine. But unfortunately, the battle failed, because even if Kuzan was not there, Marine recruited an Isho, and the level of trouble was even worse than Kuzan, and the ultra-long-distance observation hockey coverage had not yet been activated. The attack has already foreseen the arrival of the Sea Kings, and then, the launch ability directly lifted the Marine fleet into the sky, and the Sea Kings have no choice, they can't fly. That is to say, the plan to stop it failed, and it was difficult for Vlad to try not to recklessly and use a conspiracy and tricks, but it still failed, and Vlad was also quite hit. But it doesn't matter, although the blocking plan failed, the current situation is much better than expected. Vlad smiled and said, that guy Dragon has shared a lot of firepower for us. He is also under a lot of pressure now, right? The government Marine has put the main attention on him, and the next time we meet, we must be good. Just thank him. Let's talk about this later, Captain. Chef smiled and said, it's already here. The capital of flowers, the battle, it's almost time to start. In front of everyone in the Fire Dragon fleet, is a huge city called the City of Flowers, the capital of Wano-kuni, which is the battlefield of this war. Yes, then let's say hello first. Vlad smiled, and his figure suddenly began to rise. Chapter 787 Shitstick. Of Flowers is the capital of Wano-kuni. It is a very beautiful city. Different from other places in the world, it is full of an exotic beauty. Vlad still likes this kind of scenery, not to mention the contrast. With prominence, the capital of flowers is already very beautiful, but more importantly, such beauty just has something to set off it, which is even more wonderful. X23 US. Com updates fastest. Vlad didn't know what Wano-kuni was like. The last time he came here was at night, and he couldn't see many scenery clearly. The only one he was familiar with was Kuri, but now, Wano-kuni is just a ruin, because the invasion of Kaido, Wano-kuni has undergone earth-shaking changes. The actual lords have been killed by the generals. Although Kaido is nominally the highest boss of Wano-kuni, in fact, Kaido is not good at management. Namely, the actual person in charge is still the general. The original idyllic scenery was replaced by one factory after another. Vlad was a little surprised when he first saw such a scene. Kaido is actually doing the same thing as him again. It seems that the Industrial Revolution is not alone. Patent. The great development of industry has naturally caused great damage to the environment. Wano Kuni has almost been razed to the ground, not only because of pollution, but also because it is a closed island country. The resources needed by the Industrial Revolution can only be produced by itself, and it didn't take long for the originally beautiful country to be only the capital of flowers. The contrast is like this. The beautiful flower capital forms a stark contrast with the surrounding desolate ruins, so it seems that the city is really quite beautiful. But Vlad did not have any pity, and flew into the sky in the form of a huge dragon man, with a shining flame gun already in his hand. Hey, just say hi first. Whoosh. With a hard swipe, the flame gun has already blasted towards the capital of flowers in the distance. It didn't make the flame gun land smoothly. Soon, a low voice sounded. In the distance, in the capital of flowers, the black slash shot up into the sky, hanging in the air like a black curtain that swept the sky. Bombarded directly on Vlad's flame gun. Oh. Vlad raised an eyebrow. What an amazing guy. He turned his head. How are you confident? Quote. No need for extra words. Sakata put his hand on the long sword at his waist. Naturally, no cat or dog can cut a slash of this size. Probably, the entire Wano Kuni is only one person in the entire Wano Kuni. Hey. In the distance, the flame gun that was hit by the slashing spread instantly. It didn't look like it was scattered. Instead, it seemed like the disintegration of confidence. It turned into countless lines of fire and fell from the sky, like a heavy rain toward the flowers below. The capital fell, and dense flame flowers bloomed in various places in the flower capital. Vlad didn't mean to restrain his ability, but in an instant, the flames began to spread rapidly in the flower capital. The buildings with all wooden structures made the flames spread extremely quickly. If this continues, it will not take long for the entire city to melt. For ashes. Hey, the greeting is over. Vlad grinned. Let's go then. Time to fight. Of course, it is all so startling. The enemy has naturally reacted. Fire Dragon Kid. The huge storm came from somewhere, and I could already hear the huge roar of that monster. Okay, that's about it. Vlad smiled. I'm going to play with that beast first. You guys just wait here. The flower capital is about to burn up. Hey, the enemy will come by himself. Just don't lose. Brush. The wings rolled up the wind and waves, and Vlad carried the gust of wind and flew towards the flower capital. Really? The chef looked a little helpless. The coach will not be here before the battle. Fortunately, it will be the same on the other side. Luo laughed. Yeah. Chef was delighted. It seems that the other side won't do well either. Dash 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 dash. Bang. Wow. With a loud bang, a scream came from the man's mouth, and his body fell from the sky like a baseball hit by a bat, hitting the ground heavily, and the solid ground was like water. There were endless sprays, of course, of rocks and dirt. Hey hey hey. Some unbelievable heads emerged from the ground, looking very surprised, and the man named Jin had an unexpectedly broken head and looked very embarrassed. Are you kidding? This gesture like a joke actually has such power. It's really a bit too big. The object that could be easily hanged and beaten suddenly turned and beat him all over the sky. Jin was also a little uncomfortable. It was obviously just filled with air in his body, but the horror displayed. The speed and power are really unpredictable. Crow Cannon. In the sky, the inflated straw hat like a balloon shouted loudly. His body was covered with hockey. The black fist was retracted into the arm. The arm seemed to be divided into several, and then the fist was ejected. Just like a clone, a dozen fists have already smashed towards the gold on the ground. Although I don't understand why this is. The fine fluff began to grow on Jin's skin. The pupils began to end. The teeth in the mouth became sharp, and the two tiger teeth became more prominent and longer. But you kid, you really pissed me off. Whoosh. Jin's shadow instantly disappeared from the ground. Boom boom boom. The straw hat's fist just hit the ground, and the huge impact instantly knocked the surrounding ground into pieces. What? Hockey's long legs wrapped in pitch black slapped Straw Hat's face like an iron whip. Wow! Pain. Even with the use of fourth gear, strong elasticity and powerful hockey double defense, a sharp pain still passed. This guy is so strong, hockey. The Straw Hat thought so, and then, his body was pumped away like a football, turned into a black line, and was heavily bombed into the ground. Hey, it seems that you are not invincible. Jin suddenly raised his head, and in the sky, a dazzling line of fire broke out from a distance, and it seemed to be coming towards this side. What? Jin was a little stunned, and then a smile appeared on his face. Look at Lao Su smashing you. Then, the pitch-black slash shot up into the sky, directly shattering the flame spear. Jin Yi Lang, who had made up his mind to smash the flame gun, a flame had already flown directly towards him. Boom! The Straw Hat, which was also somewhat stunned, sat up from the ground, and the surroundings were already covered with flames. What's the matter? If you don't want your friends to die, Straw Hat, don't resist. Accompanied by such a sound, the sand that spread from nowhere swept like a torrent. Chapter 788 War broke out. Damn it! Is it the ability of a fire dragon? Jumping on the roof like the most agile cat, already wrapped in a layer of dark armament hockey, Jin's face is not good looking, it's really troublesome. Jin felt quite annoyed. On the one hand, because it was just a dazzling kung fu, the guy in the straw hat had already disappeared. Of course, Jin would not be stupid enough to think that he was burned to death. That kid is quite strong, and Jin is deeply so. I feel that it is really unpleasant to have a guy with that level of strength lurking at such a time, and then, secondly, it is naturally the flame that has already spread. It didn't take long for the lines of fire that fell in various places in the flower capital to bring the flames to a large part of the city, and the raging flames spread wantonly everywhere. The characteristic buildings are gone, but the roaring flames, the white, roaring flames. The temperature is very high, terrifyingly high. The air has been completely twisted, even if it is wrapped in a strong hockey, but once it comes into contact with the flame, it will feel the pain of the bone, and the skin is making a piercing sound, as if it is the cold meat felt as if it was on a red-hot grill, as if it had been scalded. What's more troublesome is that due to the influence of the burning, the oxygen in the center of the sea of fire has become a little thin, not to mention the smoke and dust raised in the sky. These are deadly things. In a word, Jin felt very uncomfortable, quite uncomfortable. But fortunately, he is not a weak chicken, but a super powerful guy. Even if he is placed in this sea, he is definitely one of the very few people, and one of the monsters feared by countless people. Such a test is nothing to him. Although jumping on the roof was harassed by flames, I have to say that this way of going is quite fast. Jin soon arrived outside the palace complex in the center of the Flower City, where a large black crowd gathered. Here, the allied forces of the Beast Pirates and the warriors of Wano Kuni gather here to prepare for war. What's the matter? Is it the fire dragon's fault? Falling on the ground, Jin asked loudly. Who else but him? Standing in front, Kurozumi Orochi replied, of course there would be no second reason. Where's the boss? Jin looked around, but did not see the shadow of his boss. Of course it's the trouble of looking for the fire dragon. The general replied. Really? Jin didn't care either. This is Kaido's style, let's go then. Before the flames completely surround the flower capital, let's rush out from here. Otherwise, we will all be burned alive here. Damn fire dragon. Ability is so tricky. You have the final say. Kurozumi Orochi had a big smile on his face. Let's go then. Jin said loudly, the fire dragons are waiting for us outside. The boss has already started fighting, and of course we can't let our opponents wait too long. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. That is, at this time, in the sky, dense black dots suddenly appeared, with a small but sharp sound, overwhelming the sky, and smashed towards this side like a violent storm. Well. Jinyi was stunned. What is that? Not a good thing. Kurozumi Orochi's hand was already on the long sword at his waist. Boom 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 boom. Then came the explosions one after another. Dash 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 dash. Did you hit? The two straight arms of the maid were retracted, and the cracked parts were closed together at the same time, covering the small dark bullet inside, and then she turned her head and asked. Half. Enel leaned on the side of the boat and said casually. Not bad. The maid nodded. Her observation hockey strength was far from the terrifying range of Enel, and she couldn't confirm what was going on in the flower capital so far away, but Enel could. If the missiles are confirmed, such an over-the-horizon strike can easily be achieved. Is it just here to wait for them to come out now? Enel looked bored. Do what you do. Cook laughed, but remember what the captain said. Don't lose. Yeah ha ha ha, take care of yourself. Very happy, Enel turned into a thunderbolt and flashed in the direction of the flower capital. Enel is an unquestionable martial arts faction and a well-deserved fighting madman. Then I'm leaving too. There was a flame in his eyes. Sakata held his hands on the side of the boat and jumped off the boat. Now is the time. The time for revenge has come. Teacher, Momonosuke, Raizo, Kinemon, Kanjuro, the hatred of all, today, is the time to solve it all. Another actionist. Luo laughed. So it's like what the captain said, no matter how well planned. Miss Musician smiled and said, it will definitely turn into such a disorderly battle in the end. What a foresight. There was no plan at all from the beginning. This is indeed the case. Whether it is the top war or the many wars that Vlad provoked before, there is no strategy at all, because the trash fish can't get involved in the battle of the monsters, so of course, there is no strategy. Speaking of, in the final analysis, it is still a bunch of high-level combat power to fight to the death to determine the outcome. D-Drag. The chef said so suddenly. Huh, what's wrong, Dino? The fiery red energy body jumped out from the deck and turned into a small doll and landed in front of the chef. Dash 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 dash. Yeah, what a beautiful view. Fluttering his wings and floating above the sky, Vlad looked down at the burning flower capital below. With some emotion, the white flame was still spreading. Vlad did not stop it, as long as the flames did not spread flowers. The capital, he will not stop it. After all, it is the enemy's base camp. There is nothing wrong with burning it to ashes. It's just that the price is a bit high. Of course, the price is high. Seeing such a magnificent sea of fire once, the price is the capital of this country. Oh, it's coming. Vlad turned his head thoughtfully and looked in a certain direction. Fire Dragon Kid. With such a shout, the monster named Kaido had jumped up from the ground and charged towards Vlad. Hey! Vlad opened his mouth wide and showed a hideous smile. It's been a long time. Boss Kaido. Chapter 789 One Piece. Hey! In the sky, Vlad had a bright smile on his face. It seemed that he was not a tall monster but a beautiful and powerful beauty, as if what he was doing was not a fight as like a wonderful date. Of course, it's not that Vlad is a calcium, it's just that Kaido is a different opponent. Vlad enjoys fighting. For heroes sailing on the sea, fighting is absolutely unavoidable. It's unavoidable, so just enjoy it. Moreover, Kaido is a special guy, the strongest creature in the three worlds of sea, land and air. He is well-deserved and recognized by everyone as a dual king. Today, after Whitebeard has passed away, the name of the world's strongest has gradually been placed on this man. This man represents the pinnacle of the world's martial arts. Vlad is very interested. He is really interested in the strongest name. In other words, there are not many men who sail on the sea who are not interested in this name, as long as they are ambitious people. Of course, he wants to forge ahead and gain a higher status, so of course, Vlad wants to win the name of Kaido's strongest. As One Piece King of Pirates, is it a bit of a loss to go out without the strongest name? Fire Dragon Kid. There were no more words. Just like a missile, Kaido bombarded in an instant, and the huge fist was already smashed towards Vlad. Of course, Kaido's body is huge, but Vlad's body after being dragonized is not inferior at all. Looking for death. Kaido was stunned for a moment, and then roared. Vlad's behavior is indeed a bit contemptuous, and he didn't make any preparations, just simply wanted to catch his fist with his palm. Even hockey was useless, he was really courting death. But, crack. What? Just an instant, Kaido's thoughts were completely subverted. The powerful fist did not shake Vlad's body at all. It was like a light punch, and his attack was easily blocked. Down. It seems that you still haven't broken the upper limit. Vlad smiled. The impact fruit gave him an astonishing increase in strength. With the super strong observation hockey, it was an absolute defense against a fighting technique master like Kaido. Hey! With a chuckle, Vlad suddenly spread his wings. His body approached instantly, his right fist was clenched tightly, and the huge fist was covered with pitch-black hockey, and the flames spewed away, which had already blasted directly towards Kaido's head. Stop being arrogant. Kaido's body suddenly became extremely agile, and he twisted his body to avoid Vlad's close blow. Yeah. Vlad raised his eyebrows. Kaido wasn't completely careless, he still knew what to do when faced with him. But it's not over yet. Hey! Suddenly, Vlad's right fist twisted like a snake, and the fist was wrapped in flames and turned abruptly, hitting Kaido's face, who had already avoided it, heavily. Boom! The flame mushroom cloud rose into the sky, and the tall figure was blasted out like a cannonball. Naive. Vlad smiled. The second stage of freedom and extreme intention is to achieve absolute control of the body through perfect observation of one's own body, similar to the return of life of Rokushiki, 6 styles, absolute response plus absolute manipulation. This is the second stage. At the same time, when Vlad and Kaido were fighting, somewhere in the already burning flower capital, a group of people were running at high speed, trying to get out of the city wrapped in flames. At the same time, while running away, the atmosphere not very friendly talks are taking place among the group. How, Straw Hat, for my proposal. With red hair and a rebellious smile on his face, the man's name is Kid, the captain of the Kid Pirates, one of the supernovas who gathered at Sabayati Archipelago 2 years ago, this time the Fire Dragon Pirates, and he also came to join in the Battle of the Beast Pirates, and it seems that the picture is not small. Huh. The Straw Hat behind him turned around with a happy look on his face, with a very bright smile on his face. It's great that my friends are all right. I thought it was over. In the rear, a huge white dog followed closely, with a girl named Xiaoyu and a group of Straw Hat pirates on its back. Hey, you bastard, you didn't listen to me at all. Kid looked very excited, and the iron around him began to shake in an instant, which confirmed the annoyance in the man's heart. Ahahaha, this kid is still the same as always. With a horizontal scar on his face, the man with a cigar in his mouth laughed. Shut up. Kid looked very annoyed. Crocodile. Calm down, kid. The blonde long-haired man with the mask said loudly, now is not the time for infighting. Ah blah blah blah. The long-handed man with long braids laughed, this so-called alliance doesn't look reliable at all. Straw Hats. Now is not the time for jokes. Killer, the only prudent person in the group of very headstrong people, turned his head and said, what is your attitude? Union. Yes, but Kaido that guy. Straw Hat turned his head and said solemnly, I'm going to blow it up. Hey, he really speaks out nonsense. Kid sneered, but that's okay. My target is the Fire Dragon. That way, we'll stop interfering with each other. Fire Dragon. Straw Hat looked him up and down and said casually, you are not his opponent. Hey you guy. The veins on Kid's forehead throbbed violently, really good at making people angry. Killer, you can kill him. Definitely can. Kid, calm down, it's an alliance now. Killer is also fascinated, what happened to this Straw Hat? All men of courage. The Longhand family, the captain of the radio pirates, the man named EPUB smiled and said, I don't have as big a dream as you. I want to defeat anyone, and I just need to be able to pull down one of the 4 emperors. Now. Hey, I'm not your ally. Sand Crocodile said with a smile, don't make a mistake, we are not at the same level, we just happen to have the same purpose. Really, if you want to be our enemy. Kid turned his head back with a dangerous look in his eyes, it doesn't matter. A crocodile. Straw Hat grinned, don't need Ace's help this time. Hey, it's time to stand together. Killer was speechless. In any case, a group of rabble pirate alliance was established like this. Oh. It was at this time that another group of people suddenly appeared in front of them. The man in white robe and mask, headed by a man with a sword, said with a low smile. Meet an acquaintance. Chapter 790 Let's go together. The flame has gradually approached this side, and the sea of fire has spread from a distance soon. Most of Wano Kuni's buildings are made of wood, which is an excellent accelerant for flames. The speed of the flames spread is extremely amazing. The entire flower city will turn into a sea of fire. A group of people are still rushing out of the sea of fire, and if you don't hurry up, isn't it too helpless to be wiped out by the flames without seeing the enemy's face? It's kind of miserable. It's not just the flames that hinder their going, there are other things, such as whoosh whoosh whoosh. Above the sky, countless dense warheads bombarded this side. Damn. Jin's forehead was full of blue veins, it's really endless. It's really a helpless thing. The opponent's attack can harass them across half the city, but they can't do anything about the other party. They can only be beaten helplessly. The shelling is really a very painful thing. In fact, in such a short period of time, the entire legion has already had a huge reduction in personnel. How can the beast pirates, who are already very belligerent, bear it? They have always been the only ones who bullied others. How can they be ridden on the neck like now? Kim was gnashing his teeth. All come. Kurozumi Orochi, who was beside him, chuckled lightly, his hand resting on the hilt of the sword at his waist. I'm better at this sort of thing. Quote. Jin squinted at him, you are good at it, so where have you been in the previous rounds? Drink. Sheath. Kurozumi Orochi held the sword in both hands, and his eyes seemed to have lightning radiating from it, exuding astonishing force. Ohm. The pitch-black slash rushed into the sky. Your Excellency General is like holding a huge black knife, and the terrifying slash that runs through the sky has even overwhelmed the light of the flame. The sky was darkened by this blow. Boom 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 boom. The black giant blade swept away, and in the sky, the densely packed warheads exploded instantly, and were swept away by Kurozumi Orochi's slashing blow, and nothing was missed. Woo. A slow sigh of relief, Kurozumi Orochi gently put the sword back into the sheath, with a light smile on his face. Fortunately, I didn't lose my life. Since it's settled, don't stand still. Jin didn't appreciate it at all, he didn't have a good opinion of this guy, hurry up. The fire dragon pirates are over there. I'm afraid this won't work. His Excellency the General of Wano Kuni said, I don't seem to be able to pass through here. What? Jin Yi was stunned, you said, He turned his head instantly and looked forward, who is it? Come out for me. Although he is not particularly good at observation hockey, in fact, at the level of gold, there are no obvious shortcomings. Of course, the cultivation of observation hockey is also very amazing. Finally, In front, the dense houses were split open in an instant, and before anyone appeared, the violent slashes had already come to attack the front station, and the roaring slashes came rushing like a flood. Huh. Kurozumi Orochi chuckled and put his hand on the sword at his waist. Ohm. The pitch-black slashes were bombarded by the whistling slashes. Boom. The azure blue slash and the pitch-black slash collided in an instant, entwined, swirled, and charged directly into the sky, like a spiral tower. The sharp sword energy that can be smelled from far away. Kurozumi Orochi smiled. It's been a long time. Sakata. It's like saying hello to old friends. Not far away, in the center of the cracked house, a man with two swords walked out. Kill you. He said so. Dash 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 dash. CP0. Looking at the guys who suddenly appeared in front, Sand Crocodile frowned and said, "Why do government hyenas appear in such a place?" "Oh, Crocodile, Eustace, Kid, Scratchman, Apu, and..." The two sides faced each other, and there was a deep laughter from under the mask of one person headed by CP0, Straw Hat Boy, Monkey D. Luffy. "I'm not surprised at all why you guys are here." "What the hell?" Straw Hat tilted his head. "Kaido's subordinate." "Didn't you already say that, bastard?" Kid looked very annoyed. "Don't you even listen to others? These guys are CP0s. CP. Straw Hat's eyes narrowed. "Is that CP from CP9? The CP9 stationed at Eni's lobby who sent their entire regiment to Impel Down 2 years ago." Straw Hat is still impressed by the man named Rob Lucci. The feeling of powerlessness at that time definitely did not want to experience it a second time. The enemy. Jumping down from the giant dog in the back and landing next to the Straw Hat, the green-haired swordsman and the curly-browed chef had rather serious expressions. "That sword is not bad." Zoro's eyes lit up, staring at the long sword on the guy's waist on the opposite side with anticipation. "Sword. That sword." Being reminded by the three swordsmen, Crocodile immediately noticed the long sword on the waist of the guy on the opposite side, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. "You guy, it's Shiryu." The characteristics are quite obvious. Although Shiryu turned against the water soon after the Top War, he was still a partnership after fighting side by side for a period of time. Sand Crocodile was quite familiar with each other's saber. Recognized. He threw the mask on his face to the side, and the exposed face was the former head of the prison, Shiryu of the Rain. His big chin was as conspicuous as Whitebeard. "Looks like a good time. Shiryu." Sand Crocodile laughed, with a mocking tone, "Following the government's ass. Must have eaten a lot of bones, right? This guy really can't talk." Behind, another person directly lifted the mask, revealing the face of a middle-aged woman, the Crescent Moon Hunter, Katarina Devon. "Kill them, Shiryu." Another person unmasked, with a huge rosacea, a big barrel, Vasco. "Shot." "Hey hey hey." Another person showed his face, the king of evil government, Abalo Pizarro. "The Straw Hat Boy is also there. If you kill them, it will be a great achievement, right? The government will reward us greatly." Cut. "Do you have to fight these guys before the fire dragon?" Kid looked a little unhappy. "That's enough." "No, don't get me wrong," Shiryu said. "I don't mean to go to war. Our goals are the same. The fire dragon is our goal, I think. We can work together." "Yeah, Tilda." Some lazy business came from one side. "Really, I heard it from a distance. Even if I wanted to ignore it, I couldn't do it. There are so many bugs looking for death." "What? This guy? When did it appear?" Everyone turned their heads, and I didn't know when. A man was already standing on the house next to him, looking lazy, with 4 golden drums on his back. Lightning thunder. Kid's face was heavy. "Enel." Shiryu gripped the handle tightly. "Really, do you all want to trouble us?" Enel tilted his head, then. "Come on together." Chapter 791 The Arrival of Marine and the Fierce Battle of Kaido. Wano Kuni, the battle has broken out, and all kinds of cows, ghosts, snakes and gods have appeared in succession. A wonderful drama has already begun, and the battle has just begun. The location near Wano Kuni is not where the Fire Dragon fleet led by Vlad landed, but on the other side, closer to the capital of Flowers. A huge fleet is gradually approaching, not sailing normally in the sea routine, but a very unusual way of flying in the air, completely ignoring the effect of gravity, and has evolved from marine to an air force. Has it arrived yet? Standing on the bow, Chaton Tokikake smiled and said, "It's such a convenient ability. Brother, your ability is really inferior to fighting. I think even if you don't become an admiral in the future, you should not be able to engage in transportation." What happened to the Sea King? Tokikake. Behind the scenes, the old grandmother's voice sounded very calm, but there seemed to be a very suppressed seriousness hidden in such calmness. "Take me a little more serious at this time." "Ah yes." Tokikake turned his head away as if he had been locked in, with cold sweat on his forehead. "Sister Crane. I told you to stop calling me that." Tsuru Vice Admiral also looked a little speechless. "Leave him alone, sister he." At the back, the tall and beautiful woman pouted, "This guy can't be saved." "No." Chaton Tokikake screamed, "Gion-chan. Okay, there's no need to continue going anymore." Fujitori's voice ended the skit, "Let's get here first. Let's wait until the fire dragon and Kaido fight to a certain extent before we shoot." The huge marine fleet began to descend slowly, and soon landed on the beach, forming a long row on the coast. "The next step is to wait," Tsuru Vice Admiral said. "Whether it's Kaido or the fire dragon, they are enemies that we have to defeat, and having them bite each other is really the best strategy. There is absolutely no need to worry that they will join forces against us." Momosugi added, "We will be able to sit on the Daiyutai and wait for them to decide the winner before harvesting the final winner. There is really no need for a more complicated strategy." "We would think so." Fujitora laughed, "It doesn't mean that others can't think of it. It's already been prepared. The people who stopped us have already come." "Well." Granny Crane opened her eyes, "Do you want to deal with them first?" "That's fine, too." Fujitora nodded, "Get rid of the call now, it will be more convenient later." "Hey, come on then." Chaton Tokikake was very excited. "No matter how many enemies you kill, you won't feel too much." "Has it come yet?" Not far from where the warship landed, a group of people gathered, and a man with a long tongue said, "Marine." "Ah, it has come." Arms around his chest, the second son of the Charlotte family, the trusted elder brother Katakuri said, "The powerful army, led by Admiral Fujitora himself, is not an opponent that can be easily dealt with. But that bastard Vlad helped us too." Smoothie smiled and turned around. There were several huge boxes behind him, and he didn't know what was inside. It is said that it is a new thing made by Dr. Vegapunk, and this is the first time it has been applied to actual combat. "So is this reliable?" Cracker said speechlessly, "This is the first time I put it into actual combat. What should I do if something goes wrong? It doesn't make sense to think about it anymore now." Katakuri said solemnly, "Only fight. They are already here. A huge warship has already floated towards this side." Boom, boom, boom. Flower Capital, above the sky, the fierce battle continues. The battle between Vlad and Kaido continues. Boom. The left fist was clenched, the pitch-black hockey was attached to it, the flames began to spew, and the invisible shock began to wave. His body was as soft as a willow branch, and he easily twisted his body to avoid Kaido's punch, and then his left fist hit Kaido's chest heavily. The powerful explosion happened like this, and the flames rushed into the sky, like a beam of light connecting the sky and the sea. Ah! Kaido was directly blown away by Vlad's blow, and the sound of bone cracking spread clearly and audibly. Vlad was certain that the blow just now absolutely shattered the bones in Kaido's chest. The internal organs must have also been impacted, and it was definitely a well-deserved blow. After all, it was Vlad's full blast and the impact of Kaido's fist superimposed, and the power was quite terrifying. Boom. Looking at the big pit that Kaido smashed after falling to the ground, and the dust was raised in the air, Vlad swung his left hand. The effect of the force was mutual, and the blow just now made his left hand a little sore. "No way." Vlad sighed, a little helpless. It's useless. Attacks of this level are completely useless. Kaido is an extremely difficult opponent. It is quite difficult to deal with. No one in the world can kill him. Even if he challenges the 4 emperors alone, or even the marine headquarters, he is defeated and captured. Even so, no one can kill him. Can kill him, whether it is the strongest Whitebeard in the world, or the strongest marine headquarters in the world. No one can kill him. This guy, a strange undead body, a terrifying recovery ability. Really? Vlad complained loudly. What were you thinking about? Doctor, wouldn't it be better to put a collar on him? Little devil. It didn't take long for Vlad to wait. Kaido jumped into the sky again, and he didn't know when he had a mace in his hand. Scoff. With a strong wave of the mace in his hand, an invisible shock wave had already slammed towards Vlad. Yeah. Somewhat surprised, he stretched out his left hand, and the invisible impact was instantly absorbed by Vlad. It's really interesting. Have you learned new tricks to deal with me? This is an attack trick similar to Elbaf's spear. Vlad remembers it very well. In the previous 2 battles with Kaido, Vlad did not find that this guy could also attack remotely, so he just learned it. Is it right? It's really hard work, Boss Kaido. Well. Vlad's head twisted suddenly, and his eyes were already looking in a certain direction of the city. Shouldn't it be? It looks like this. On the other side, the thunderclouds have gathered, and the lightning is constantly flashing. Have you encountered a strong enemy? Who is it? There are experts. Asshole. Without giving Vlad much time to think, Kaido's huge mace smashed towards Vlad's head in the air. Hey. Started again, flapped his wings lightly on his back, his body twisted abruptly, and easily avoided Kaido's blow. Then, with the help of the twisting force, his thick right leg was whipped on Kaido's side like a whip. From his waist, he directly blasted this guy out. Chapter 792 3 Sides. Oh, this guy. Jin frowned, as if recalling something. It looks familiar. His name is Sakata, the swordsman of the Fire Dragon Pirates. Sakata didn't mean to introduce himself at all, so Kurozumi Orochi decided to help him introduce. I used to be a disciple of the daimyo Kazuki Oden of Wano-kuni Kuri in the past, and of course I was my enemy. When Kuri was destroyed, he went with the Fire Dragon. Oh, I remembered saying that. Jin suddenly realized, it's you, right? The guy the first saw at that time. This is not the first time the two have met. The last time they met was when the Fire Dragon Pirates ascended the throne, and they joined the Whitebeard Pirates in the final battle with the Beast Pirates. However, the two did not meet at that time. His main opponent at that time was Marco the Phoenix, and he didn't get to face him much. Then, now, Jin finally remembered the first time the two met in the true sense. It was a few years ago, when the Beast Pirates officially marched into Wano-kuni, the one he saw on the big ship leading to Wano-kuni. Dude, he hacked to death a guy who was lying on the Sea King sleeping leisurely. At that time, Jin wanted to pull that person into the Beast Pirates, but he didn't expect it. I'm so sorry. Jin said, because he is indeed a strong swordsman, so he is the enemy. Then there is no way. Since you dare to stand in front of us, you must be ready to die. How many more people? Sakata didn't mean the slightest bit of fear. It doesn't matter. Ha 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 ha, little devil, it's really arrogant. Jin laughed loudly, and the tyrannical emotions began to gradually brew in his heart. You go first, Kim. Kurozumi Orochi suddenly said, leave this kid to me. What? Jin was stunned. The Kurozumi Orochi in his impression was not such a guy who was willing to come forward. His teacher is also a guy the first admire a lot. His Excellency the General smiled and said, let me take a look. The disciple who came to avenge the teacher has improved compared to my old opponent. Are you serious? Kim was skeptical. Let's go. The Fire Dragon Pirates have been waiting impatiently, right? Kurozumi Orochi said casually. Cut. Jintu moved forward without looking back. Don't regret it if you die. How can there be such an assumption? Your Excellency General is a little funny. He didn't care about Sakata at all. Jin walked past Sakata with his people without any intention of attacking him. He knew that if he concentrated his firepower a little, then Sakata would be dead. Well, now it's just us. Kurozumi Orochi held the knife in his hand. If you want revenge, you can come here now. Mystery. The blue water blooms suddenly. Great tsunami. There was no hesitation at all, and there was no hesitation at all. The violent attack had already rushed into the sky. Look at these guys gathered here. The old god Enel was squatting on the roof, with a playful smile on his face. The former Shichibukai's sand crocodile, Supernova's EPUB. Oh. This is, Eustace Kid, who escaped from my hands. I actually met again today. Well, you're out of luck, and then, oh. CP0, you bugs are really haunted, are the Straw Hats in the end. Ha, as expected. Hey, wait. Nami, who was riding behind the big dog, was startled and said, we are not your enemies. Huh. Novivi tilted his head and looked rather lazy. Don't be stupid, miss, although your target is Kaido, but since you have formed an alliance with the pirates who want to fight us. Isn't that already our enemy by default? Boom. Above the sky, thunder suddenly exploded. Hey, isn't that just right? With a smile on Shiryu's face, the long knife around his waist has been drawn out. This guy is the most important cadre of Fire Dragon. If he kills him here, the Fire Dragon pirates will lose a lot. The Straw Hat hand pressed the straw hat above his head and said softly, reject. Well. Shiryu was stunned for a moment, then smiled. Do you still mind the war 2 years ago? Straw Hat, this is not good. How can a man do without this kind of mind? Now our position is the same. The Fire Dragon pirates are our enemy. The Fire Dragon pirates will be defeated sooner or later. Straw Hat said, after Kaido is the Fire Dragon guy. If you want to become One Piece, King of Pirates, you won't be able to defeat them, but I don't want your help. Tisk. Shiryu's mouth twitched, and he had already seen the attitude of the Straw Hat. What about you? Captain Kidd, Mr. EPUB, and the crocodile. Hey, ha, do you think you are lousy and the government's walking dog cannot talk about anything? Sand Crocodile said with a smile, this man is always rebellious at all times. This time, just this time. Kid grinned, I think Senior Crocodile is right. Who? Shiryu grinned slightly. Why, everybody says that. EPUB looked around, then looked a little embarrassed. I'm not good at being a minority either. Yeah. Shiryu grinned, the most bloodthirsty arc. This is really interesting. That is to say, everyone is the enemy, right? Tisk, does a dog bite a dog? Enel sneered, it's ugly enough. But it doesn't matter, I'll send you all to heaven immediately. Then try it out. Kid's arm moved, and the iron around him began to tremble instantly. Thunderbolt bastard. Hey. Enel grinned. Crackling. The thunder and lightning that soared into the sky suddenly exploded. Just like what Shiryu said, everyone is an enemy, and the great melee of the three parties started like this. It's almost there, isn't it? The chef put his arms around his chest, across a vast wasteland, quietly looking at the city in the distance. He can already feel it, and he doesn't need observation haki's perception at all. The continuous vibration of the ground is enough to reveal everything. The enemy has finally come. It is indeed here. With observation haki, the maid nodded, the number is quite amazing. There are also a lot of powerful auras. Then, the chef held a phone bug in his hand and said loudly, everyone has it. The battle is about to start. The battle is ready. Yes. A huge voice came from the back, an earth-shattering cry. Even heaven could hear such a voice. He. The tall man let out a gloomy laugh. It's finally here. Although I want to kill that guy Kaido, but it's almost there. Come on. The chef said loudly. In the distance, the walls of the city still stood, and then. Boom. The city wall was instantly shattered, and a huge mammoth rushed out from inside, followed by countless beasts, and it was finally time for the two legions to fight head-on. Chapter 793 Research Results Explode. Yeah ha ha ha. Laughing unrestrainedly, Enel's body has turned into lightning and flew directly into the sky. The person who masters the air superiority has an absolute advantage. This applies no matter where. Guro Guro no Mi, Rumble Rumble Fruit, is indeed a super powerful devil fruit. Even if there is no hockey, as long as you master the ability of this fruit, you will definitely be a first-class master in the sea. Turn me to ashes. There is no sense of timidity at all, even if he is alone. The opponents on both sides he is facing are both powerful and powerful, but without the slightest timidity, he does not hesitate to move towards both sides at the same time. Attacked. Crack, crack, crack. In the sky, black thunderclouds have gathered, as oppressive as the scene of doomsday, as if the world will be blasted into the sky in such an attack. Thunder. Thunder in the sky. Like a torrential rain, countless thunders fell from the sky, and in just a short moment, the surrounding area was turned into a sea of thunder and lightning. Wow! Sitting on the back of the big dog, Miss Navigator of the Straw Hat Pirates covered her cheeks with her hands, her eyes almost bursting out of her sockets. What is this? This guy is so scary. Damn it. Shiryu frowned. The trouble with the Logia devil fruit is here, especially after awakening, so the overwhelming and large-scale AoE will come easily. Rubber rubber. Balloons. Just when the partners were terrified, the Straw Hat suddenly opened its mouth wide, and a huge amount of air was sucked into the mouth in an instant. On the heads of the partners. Luffy. Usopp was shocked. Luffy brothers. The little girl Xiaoyu was even more terrified. This guy, is he going to die? Hey. With a smug smile, the thunder and lightning hit the Straw Hat's stomach directly, and the current jumped around, but, of course, the Straw Hat did not suffer even a little damage. Xiaoyu was a little stunned. What's the matter with that guy? Hidden under a raised sand shield, Kid looked bewildered. Is lightning useless to him? It's really convenient. Quote. Constantly waving the long sword in his hand to dispel the thunder and lightning that came from the bombardment, Shiryu felt a little envious. That guy's ability. He. It's useless. Straw Hat let out a smug laugh. I'm the rubber man. Of course, thunder and lightning are useless to him. Cut. Enel gritted his teeth unhappily. This guy is really his nemesis. It's really annoying. Asshole. Boom. The sky was instantly filled with white light, and the strong brilliance spread out. The black mine of thunder gathered, and a huge figure was formed. The shining thunder and lightning continued to flicker on the body of the thundercloud giant. Give me all to die. With a loud roar, the arms suddenly swung down. Boom. The arm of the thundercloud giant suddenly raised, and then suddenly smashed towards this side. Hey, we don't want to get rid of him at this time, right? Shiryu laughed, clenching the knife in his hand. Everyone is being targeted. You can't tell the difference without killing him first. Sand Crocodile was holding a cigar in his mouth, and said so unhappily. The huge giant fist is about to have Hongji on the ground, which is at this time. Well. Enel turned his head. Whoosh. A black shadow instantly broke through the thundercloud above the sky and fell directly towards the ground. What? There were not a few weak people present, and they came back to their senses in an instant, and immediately noticed the thing that fell from the sky. Boom. The ground shattered instantly, and the powerful impact spread immediately. The ground was undulating like the sea, and the surrounding buildings that were already confused were directly annihilated by flying ash. Yeah, I really saw a lot of familiar faces. The dark red dragon man descended from the sky, side by side with Enel, with a smile on his hideous face. Are you tired of living? Quote. The oppressive atmosphere instantly permeated, and the four emperors appeared directly in front of him. Could there be a worse situation? In fact, there is. Fire Dragon Kid. Behind, in the huge pothole, the soil suddenly splashed up, and the monster jumped directly from the ground. I'm going to tear you apart. And more chaotic. Other side, on the coast of Wano Kuni, the battle has also begun. The two sides of the battle are the Fire Dragon Pirates, the Charlotte family, and the Marine fleet commanded by Admiral Fujitora of the Marine headquarters. What a great lineup! On the huge ship suspended in the air, with a toothpick in his mouth, the man named Tokikake smiled. Charlotte family. It's really sad. The pirates were killed by the Fire Dragon, and the mother was also killed by the Fire Dragon. Even if in this way, I can still join the Fire Dragon Pirates. Tisk, this is a pirate, and there is enough disgusting existence. Is Chaton Tokikake here too? Katakori frowned. Marine is a big shot. It's not just Chaton Tokikake. Behind him, Perospero said in a low voice, and Momoshiki and that crane. Che, how could Marine still mobilize such a force when the Revolutionary Army made such a commotion in the four seas? How many tricks does that kid Vlad have? Very people. Come on. Katakori's eyes suddenly froze. Let this old man come and try the knife. Fujitora chuckled, and the staff and knife in his hand had already been pulled out, but with just a wave of his hand, a purple halo spread out. Be careful. Katakori jumped, and the brothers and sisters behind him followed in an instant. In just an instant, the place where they were standing had turned into a huge pit. Hee hee, brother has already shot, I can't fall behind. Chaton Tokikake smiled and waved his hands, and a huge amount of soil poured out from his hands instantly, rolling down like a landslide and mudslide. Katakori was silent, and the thing that bothered him was that he lacked a one-hit kill move, and also lacked a wide range of attack moves, so he was a little helpless with an attack like Chaton Tokikake. Drink! With a loud roar, the tall woman, his sister Simuji swung a knife heavily, and the wild slash shot straight into the sky, facing the falling mudslide. Well, Chaton Tokikake was stunned for a moment. The mudslides hit by the slashing were directly blown away, which was nothing, but these soils dried up in an instant, turning into sand and stones scattered in the wind. Don't wait. Perospero said, the enemy is stronger than you can imagine. Katakori, activate. Well. Only nodded. Katakori's voice suddenly became louder. In my name, battle mode. Beep. Behind, some sharp sounds suddenly sounded in several boxes. Boom. The box suddenly shattered, and several black shadows roared out, rushing towards the sky. What? Crane was stunned. Genius website address. Mobile version reading website, M. Chapter 794 General's Plan. This is. Miss Musician looked bewildered. Is it a zoo? The city wall of the flower capital in the distance shattered in an instant, dominated by a huge mammoth. Countless huge animals rushed over from behind, and the earth was constantly shaking, as strong as an earthquake. Standing on the ground, there is a feeling as if the body is about to be shaken into the sky. This is the zone core of the Beast Pirates. The Zone Powers core was formed with the artificial devil fruit provided by Don Quixote da Flamingo. The total number is already around 500, which is indeed quite amazing. It is not unreasonable for the 100 Beast Pirates to be domineering. Even the heroes of the sea who are galloping on the sea, who have seen devil fruit abilities in their lives, do not know if there are 500. After the Zone Legion, there was a crowd of black crowds, the number of which was staggering, gushing out from all parts of the flower capital, like a boundless tide, like an ocean tide. In terms of number, the Beast Pirates and General Wanokuni joined forces. Not necessarily less than the Fire Dragon fleet. Even though there is still a long distance from the Flower City, the Zone Legion of the Beasts has already crossed the normal distance very quickly, and will soon rush into the queue of the Fire Dragon fleet. Then. Chef roared, all troops attack. There is no need for any tricks at all, and of course no traps. The characteristic of superhuman society is that the individual force is infinitely high, and the result of war can often be divided through the battle of several people. Oh! Without the slightest hesitation, behind the chef, the captains and cadres of the Fire Dragon fleet flashed out like leopards, directly facing the Zone Legion opposite, followed by the same tide-like head. BABY5. The chef turned his head. Yeah. The maid nodded, stretched out her arms, and the back of her arms suddenly opened, and in the next instant, countless warheads went straight to the sky and smashed towards the opposite side. Hey, still want to repeat the old trick? A black shadow fell from the sky, and the man named Jin had already fallen towards this side. Go back. The chef suddenly waved his right arm, and a huge fist was formed in an instant. The pitch-black hockey covered it and slammed directly towards Jin in the sky. Ha ha ha. Jin was not afraid at all, his body was suddenly wrapped in a layer of fluff, and his fists suddenly slammed out. Dash 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 dash. The flaming flames have spread to this side, but the battle between the two men continues. Ding 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 ding. The clanging sound is very penetrating, even from a distance, you can still hear such a sound. The powerful slashing splashes everywhere, even if it does not deliberately attack the surrounding area, but the two top swordsmen's the duel still easily destroyed the surrounding environment. Li Rufang did not know where the lines on the ground had spread. The houses were even more messed up, broken, and even the flames did not cause such damage. Get stronger. Kurozumi Orochi sighed like this. After blocking the opponent's blow, the strong force instantly caused his legs to draw 2 deep tracks on the ground. The ground was as fragile as tofu, and he could clearly feel it. Now, this kid is stronger than when he was in Wano-kuni. His Excellency the General has such a clear view, that is, he has surpassed his teacher. What a pity. Kurozumi Orochi said suddenly. Drink. Sakata fell from the sky, blue water traces spread upward from the tips of the 2 knives, and the warm water traces dispersed. Why are you so powerful to stop me? Kurozumi Orochi held the sword in both hands, the dark air began to wrap around the sword. To stop me from making Wano-kuni better. Om. The dull voice sounded, Kurozumi Orochi slammed up, and the turbulent slash carried the power to tear the world. When the 3 knives collided heavily. Woo. Like a gust of wind whistling, invisible slashes roared out, and the surrounding ground was instantly riddled with holes. PFF'd. Sakata's face was suddenly cut open. Better. Yes. Kurozumi Orochi grinned, and a wound was instantly torn on his shoulder by the howling wind. You. Sakata suddenly roared, his hands slammed hard, and a terrifying force roared out, directly blasting Kurozumi Orochi into the ground. Is that what you call better? Gently landed on the ground, when Sakata rarely said so much, everywhere is desolate, there is nothing left. Hee hee. With a slight smile, he jumped from the ground to the ground. His Excellency the General smiled, very indifferent, if it is for the development of this country, then this little sacrifice doesn't matter, right? You call this a small sacrifice? Sakata slammed his feet on the ground, and the ground shattered instantly. His body had turned into a phantom, but he was close to Kurozumi Orochi in an instant. This is. I'm the most precious thing. When Sakata's body suddenly rotated, his body was spinning like a spinning top, and the 2 knives in his hand swept through a splendid trajectory. Hey! Kurozumi Orochi's eyes suddenly stared, and a terrifying force came from the opposite side, and his body was suddenly blown away as if he was hit by a mountain. I want. Sakata didn't stop at all, and with one step, he rushed up again. Kill you. It's a pity, it's really a pity for you, kid. Kurozumi Orochi said, I really want to have a good fight with you, but I don't have much time right now. Huh. Sakata frowned instantly, his body bounced up, and the next moment. Scoff. With a loud bang, the place where Sakata was standing is now in a mess. It's so slow. Such a voice came from one side, and at some point, another group of people, white robes and masks on their faces, had already stood on the house next to them. CP0. Sakata was taken aback. Don't look around. Kurozumi Orochi laughed. Yeah. Sakata's eyes suddenly stared, and a creepy aura came from behind. That is, suddenly, a strange creature had appeared behind him, with the appearance of an ape, the body of a raccoon, the limbs of a tiger, and the body of a snake. The tail, the body is wrapped in a faint blue flame, and the thick front paws are wrapped in flames, and the next moment will be pressed on Sakata's body. Cut. A cold snort, the pitch-black hockey had already covered his body. Sakata twisted his body abruptly in the air, and the long knife in his hand had already stabbed towards the monster behind him. Ah! Sakata screamed suddenly. The speed of the monster was faster than he imagined, and it was already pressed on his shoulder in an instant. Of course, in the next instant, the sword in his hand would also pierce this guy's head. The strange thing is that the opponent's attack power is weaker than imagined, and it can't threaten him at all, but just thinking about it, immediately, the intense and completely unbearable pain has been passed on. What a great opportunity! Quote. Such a voice came from behind, and Sakata showed a huge flaw. Of course, Kurozumi Orochi would not miss it. The body was ejected, and the long sword in his hand had been stabbed towards Sakata's back, just like when he stabbed Kazuki Oden. Cut. Underscore. Some unwilling snorts, the body forcibly twisted. PFF'd. The long knife pierced through Sakata's back and came out of his stomach. Although he barely avoided the key point, the injury was equally severe. Tisk. Somewhat unhappy, he threw the knife directly to the ground, and the strange monster landed behind him. Kurozumi Orochi looked a little unhappy. Dodge away. Okay, hurry up. CP0 standing on the roof said, Marine has arrived. Okay. Kurozumi Orochi raised the knife in his hand. Get rid of him immediately. Do I understand your government very well? Ha, what does it mean to send people from both sides to contact us at the same time? You don't have to worry about it so much. The man said, just cooperate with us. It has been agreed that you will join the government. Ahahaha, that's it. Kurozumi Orochi smiled. Then we will also fulfill our promise. Whether it's the fire dragon or Kaido, it will blow them up to the sky. And then, goodbye, Sakata. The long knife swung down suddenly. Chapter 795 Progress of the War. Gone. His Excellency the General looked a little annoyed. Just as he was swinging his sword, Sakata, who was in front of him, disappeared like this, very abruptly. Damn it, he actually ran away. Can be seen that the General of Wano-kuni is very annoyed. He is obviously an opponent who is bound to win, but let him run away in front of him, which can be said to be very annoyed. Is it the ship of the Fire Dragon pirates? Gently jumped off the roof and landed in front of Kurozumi Orochi. The leader of another group of CP0 who appeared for some reason said in a low and powerful voice, it's really troublesome enough. Today, it is no secret that the Fire Dragon pirates own a peculiar pirate ship. They have eaten the platinum of Paramesha door fruit. The difficulty of the D-drag has long been known to many people. Forget it, now that the swordsman of the drainage has been taken away, we can't catch up. CP0 said, let's go. Kurozumi Orochi, don't waste any more time. Cut. His Excellency the General looked very upset, let's go then. Dash 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 dash. In the green space, Banshin leaned on the side of the platinum D-drag, gasping for breath. His forehead was covered with sweat, and he looked a little uncomfortable, even if it was a monster. Vitality, but after all, a hole was opened in the stomach, and the blood is still flowing. Even if he is as strong as Sakata, he can't stand it. It was really dangerous just now. The fiery red energy bodies gathered around Sakata, and D-drag had already appeared beside Sakata. Fortunately, Dino asked me to come with you. Thanks, D-drag. He took out an injection in his hand and pricked his neck. Although Passo did not participate in the battle, the recovery potion he made was indeed a solid guarantee for the Fire Dragon pirates. It didn't take long. The wound has already begun to scab. Almost died. Hee. D-drag smiled embarrassedly. They, all partners. But Wano-kuni has indeed been engaged with the government. Sakata said to himself, did the government really give them the dynamite rock before? Besides, Even Kaido is going to blow up. These guys. Follow them. D-Drag. Sakata said suddenly, look what they're trying to do. Hi. Is the most enthusiastic response. Dash 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 dash. The other side. Fire Dragon. Wild roars pierced through the heavens and the earth, and the majestic beasts roared loudly. Hey. Grabbing the hair of the giant dog under his crotch, the little reindeer snot and tears flowed, and his body was almost blown away. What is this? This guy. A cold sweat suddenly appeared on Kid's forehead. Kaido. It's finally here. The Straw Hat looked very excited. Is this guy Kaido of the Beasts? Hey, it's really lively now. Sand Crocodile didn't seem afraid at all. Have the 4 emperors come? The plan has been completely disrupted. If they don't lose both, we have no chance. Out of breath, Kaido looked around. Why so many extra guys? Then, his eyes noticed a group of people wearing white coats not far away. CP0. How can a government-raised dog appear in Lao Tzu's territory? Tisk. That sucks. Shiryu frowned. It was discovered by this lunatic. But now that guy Kurozumi Orochi isn't here. Forget it, I'll pinch you to death later. Kaido's head twisted suddenly, and his eyes looked at Vlad like he was breathing fire. Fire Dragon Kid. I'm going to tear you apart. Who? Vlad smiled. I really don't have a long memory at all. Do you still think you can beat me now? Even among the 4 emperors, the strength is high and low. This is a matter of public opinion. Whitebeard Kaido has always been the peak of the force of the 4 emperors. This is something that no one can deny. It is his greatest invincibility. However, Vlad is stronger. The current Vlad is stronger than Kaido. The awakened fire dragon fruit gives him endless physical strength and terrifying power. The strong flame is his most effective means of attack. Observation Haki's expanded freedom gives him an invincible evasion ability. Fluttering fruit is one of the most versatile abilities. Impact fruit resists all attacks, and dark fruit restrains all abilities. Vlad, he is already too strong. The so-called 4 emperors, rank can no longer limit him. I'm going to hit you. Kaido. Roaring so loudly, the Straw Hat's body has swelled, and the 4th gear is used again, but the balloon-like body has a terrifying speed, but it is already close in an instant. Ape King Gun. The right arm has been retracted into the arm, and the terrifying elasticity is ready to go. Well. Kaido turned his head in surprise. Boom. The 2 fists collided heavily, and the violent wind blew in an instant, and the surrounding dust was blown into the sky in an instant, as if a sandstorm suddenly blew up all around. No way. Kid looked mad. Is there something wrong with this kid's brain? What is he doing to provoke Kaido now? Wouldn't it be nice to have Kaido and Fire Dragon fight? It's the first time I think you're right. Sand Crocodile nodded. It doesn't seem like the time to fight now. Killer turned his head and looked at CP0 opposite. What do you think? We have no intention of fighting the 4 emperors. Shiryu smiled, turned his head and ran, followed by his partner. Just a single flash Enel was troublesome enough, and there was a more terrifying fire dragon, so hurry up and run. Then. Killer turned his head. Ah ha 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 ha. Sand Crocodile burst out laughing. It's really embarrassing. Before the laughter fell, his body had turned into gravel and flew into the distance. Go, Kid. Killer grabbed Kid and followed. Ah blah blah, run away. Apu is not at all dissatisfied. There are already 4 emperors in this place. Are you waiting for lunch if you don't run? So the Straw Hat Gang was abandoned like this, and the Fragile Pirate Alliance disintegrated like this. Tisk, I want to run. Vlad smiled, since Kaido is being targeted by the Straw Hat. Then, Enel, where are you going? That guy Eustace. Kid ran away from me last time. Enel threw off such a sentence, and his body had turned into a thunderbolt, chasing in the direction of Kid's escape. Then I'm on this side. Vlad smiled, It doesn't seem easy to get rid of this gang before Kaido gets rid of the Straw Hats. But let's try it out. Woo! The flames spewed, and Vlad had disappeared above the sky. The situation has developed further. Chapter 796 Overwhelming Power Gap. Straw Hat. The huge monster's eyes were wide open, and an extremely angry expression gathered in it. Don't stand in the way of Lao Su. You bastard, Kaido. In the sky, the black balloon was stepping on the air, and the 2 feet had been retracted into the legs, kicking in the air, bringing a powerful propulsion, allowing him to fly only in the air. Let Xiao Yu cry. Destroy her treasure like this. The straw hat fell from the sky, the left and right hands have been retracted into the arms at the same time, and the face that looked a little inflated because of the inflation was full of anger. This man is rarely angry because of his own affairs. He only because of his partner, because angry about a friend. You and your legion are blocking my way. I am not ashamed to say it. Kaido is certainly not a good-natured guy. Although he is in a hurry to fight Vlad, if someone is so presumptuous in front of him, of course it will not be regarded as not seen. VV's legs, the powerful force was surging out, the ground shattered like a bubble, and Kaido's tall body immediately rushed into the sky, like a volcanic eruption. I'm going to crush you. Then come and try it. The straw hat roared so loudly, 2 fists have been blasted out. Lion bazooka. Boom. Kaido wasn't afraid at all, the pitch-black hockey covered his fist, and he took advantage of the momentum to punch out the dragon fist. Crackling. Black lightning flashed in the air, a strong storm swept across the sky, and the ground even cracked. Underscore. A dull sound, the straw hat was directly repelled by Kaido and flew towards the sky. Of course, at the same time, under the action of the reaction force, Kaido's body instantly sank into the ground. The fist is really hard enough. Roaring so loudly, Kaido was completely unharmed, jumped up again, and charged directly towards the straw hat in the sky. Cut. I stepped heavily on the air, my body regained its balance, and then... Orochi Cannon. The fist slammed out like a snake, spinning and coiling in the air and slammed towards Kaido. This trick. Kaido grinned, you can't kill Lao Su. What? Straw Hat froze for a moment. Kaido showed agility that did not match his huge size. His body twisted away from his fist, and then the huge palm had already grasped his arm. Hee ha 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 ha, Ninma, go to death. Whoosh. The arms began to sway, and the straw hat was like a stone tied to a rope and was thrown all over the sky by Kaido. Boom. He slammed heavily on the ground, and there was another big earthquake on the ground, and the dense bottomless cracks spread out. Ha 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 ha, it's so funny. Kaido laughed loudly, and kept smashing his straw hat on the ground. Let me go, Luffy. 2 figures rose into the sky and charged towards Kaido. The murderer is here again. With a flick of his hand, the straw hat's body had already slammed into his 2 companions, and the 3 of them flew towards the distant sky together. Luffy, Sanji, Zoro. The straw hats below are a little confused. Fire Dragon Kid. Kaido roared without paying much attention to these people. Dash 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 dash. The other side. Woo, damn. Named Kid didn't look good. Did you catch up so quickly? Inconceivable. Enel stood leisurely on the tall building in front of him, with the flames spreading constantly behind him, with some unimaginable fluctuations on his face. Even a bug should have some self-knowledge, right? Do you think you can run away from this god? It's like this. Kid bowed his head, his forehead was full of blue veins. Do you really think of yourself as a god? You bastard. Although Wano Kuni is a secluded country, the most important thing is iron. After all, this country is a country of samurai. It is not only a country of swordsmanship, but also a country of swordsmanship. There is absolutely no shortage of iron. Drink. Shout. Countless iron tools gathered from the surroundings, but in an instant, a giant mechanical arm was cast in Kid's Killer's right hand. Without the slightest hesitation, the giant mechanical fist smashed towards Enel. Get out of the way. Killer jumped up, the blades of both hands covered in pitch-black hockey. Ah blah blah blah. Apu grinned, afraid of hitting his stomach, and strange fluctuations spread out. Idiot, this guy. Enel looked strangely at Kid with a huge robotic arm. Discharge. Crackling. Thunder soared into the sky, without the slightest gap for people to avoid, all round, full coverage. Hey! Bearing the brunt of the brunt, Kid screamed, and his hair that was standing upside down now seems to be straight up from his head into the sky. Of course, the iron in this world also needs to conduct electricity. Hey! The body was quickly covered with a layer of armament, and Killer's expression was very painful. Although hockey's armor can withstand lightning, it does not mean that it can withstand all damage. Damn. The same reaction as Killer as Apu, who is also struggling to support. On the contrary, the sand crocodile seems to be able to do it with ease. The trouble with Logia is that as long as it is not the restraint element, there is no way to attack them without hockey's attack. You've worked hard enough. Killer suddenly heard the sound coming from behind. A hand was already on his shoulder. What? Killer's eyes widened suddenly. 500 million volts. Crackling. Kid. Killer finally yelled. Killer. The bright electric light. Kid was trembling all over. The giant mechanical arm he used to gather power was already the nightmare that he couldn't get rid of, and the current spread wantonly on him through this medium. And then, it's you. The body is still exuding current wanton. At the same time, Enel has appeared behind Apu. What? Apu only had time to turn his head. Enel made a random move with his right hand, and the dark gravel on the ground flew up, gathering a black long sword in his hand. Go to hell. PFF'd. Apu, who was disturbed by the current, had no chance of responding at all, and a hole had been opened in his stomach by Enel. Cut. The sand crocodile, whose body has completely turned into gravel, looked a little unhappy. Now, trouble. This is overwhelming strength. While both sides were fighting, Vlad was not idle either. With his extraordinary movement speed, he had already blocked in front of CP0 headed by Shiryu. Genius for a second to remember the address of this site. Mobile version reading website, M. Chapter 797 The Will of the Government. Tisk. Still haven't run away. Shiryu had sweat on his forehead. The huge dragon man was already standing in front of them. If they wanted to pass from here, they had to break through Vlad's guards. This was not an easy task, even if they all the same goes for all the monsters who ran from the 6th floor of the big prison. Although they are all monsters, Vlad is a monster among monsters. You guys are actually the lackeys of the government. Vlad smiled. I'm quite surprised. Hey, there's nothing wrong with it. Shiryu chuckled. Legally killing people is another fun. For this man, there are no dreams or anything. All he wants is to be able to kill freely, and he just wants to watch the world burn. It's really funny. Vlad smiled, but forget it, you all die here today. Of course, the government's power is better. Oh, it doesn't have to be, Mr. Vlad. Named Abalo Pizarro smiled and said, we can be the government's subordinates, and of course we can also be your subordinates. Oh. Vlad looked surprised. You are unexpectedly smooth. Master Vlad, you are now only one step away from the location of One Piece, King of Pirates, and, tisk, it's no fun to be bound by the government all the time. You can't kill people who want to kill. The man known as the King of Bad Politics smiled as a matter of course. It's only natural that we want to change our stance, right? He burped heavily. The man with the big rosacea said, I don't care, as long as there is wine to drink. He. The rare ugly woman Crescent Moon Hunter Katarina Devon smiled and said, I am very happy, you are a good man. Further back, a man with a big head scratched his head and didn't speak, looking cute. Hey, you guys. Shiryu looks a little helpless. doesn't he have any position? Of course, Shiryu, it doesn't matter if you still want to work for the government. The evil king grinned. Tisk. Shiryu smacked his lips. All right, all right. Vlad waved his hand. You swarms of bedbugs are almost done. If you can betray the government this time, you won't be able to betray me next time. Or just die here honestly. Amount. King of Evil Government was stunned for a moment, then smiled and said, ha ha ha, sure enough, the plot didn't work. It's not easy to deceive you, Shiryu, don't get me wrong, we are loyal subordinates of the government. Shiryu didn't want to talk. Fire Dragon Kid. It was at this time that Vlad just talked nonsense with these guys. Not far away, a huge monster was already rushing towards this side. Huh. Vlad turned his head in surprise, but it was so fast, it seems that the strength of the Straw Hat is still a little far behind. It's now. Shiryu exclaimed, Sanyuan Hungry Wolf. Huge. Catch us. Ah, oh. Behind, some cute big heads were stunned for a moment, and then responded loudly, their bodies swelled in an instant, and the huge monster appeared on the ground in an instant, and directly grabbed the CP0 group on the ground with their hands. 3 o'clock. Shiryu exclaimed, throw. Oh. Sanyuan Hungry Wolf responded in a high voice, and directly threw the few people in his hand out. Well. Vlad looked a little surprised, it turns out to be a capable person. Therefore, he was not found on the 6th floor, so the small door on the 6th floor could fit him in, so he could be taken to the Marine headquarters by a ship, so I was a capable person. It wasn't until the others from CP0 disappeared into the sky in the distance that Sanyuan Hungry Wolf said dumbfoundedly, Shiryu, what should I do? Humph, you're the only one left. Vlad stretched out his hand, the flames burning on it. The huge battleship wanted to cry without tears. Hey, what's going on? I want to kill you so much. Me too. Go to die. Go to die. Kill you. Kill you. I don't know why, but the situation on the battlefield is a bit weird. It's not so much a battle between two sides, it's better to say that one side is fighting in chaos, and then the other side takes the opportunity to kill. Damn. Jin, who has completely turned into a colorful giant tiger standing upright, frowned, is it that woman's ability? The 100 Beasts pirates have an army of 500 capable people. In terms of military strength, they are indeed invincible. However, such a powerful force is also quite powerful when used in civil wars. The ability that Serena possesses is the ability to resonate her emotions with others. Of course, Miss Serena is full of killing intent towards the Beast Pirates, so when such killing intent is associated with the Beast Pirates. When the people of the regiment resonated, such an interesting situation on the battlefield appeared. Don't look around. A huge fist suddenly fell from the sky. Jin blinked, the ground where he was standing was now a ruin, and the huge depression was still spreading. Cut. Jin looked a little annoyed, Magic Chef Dino. Don't call that nickname. The chef looked a little annoyed, stood on the shoulders of the huge giant, waved his hand gently, countless tentacles had already extended from the giant's back, and slammed towards Jin on the ground. Boom 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 boom. Zone cat fruit ancient species. Saber-toothed tiger fruit. Looking at the big cat that kept jumping on the ground and then jumped directly to the giant, the chef sighed, it's amazing. Boom 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 boom. The continuous explosions spread all around, and Chaton Tokikake looked a little annoyed, damn it. Is that the old man's thing? What stood in front of him was not someone, but a human creation. It looks like a human, wrapped in armor, but the skin seems to be made of metal, and the stature is extremely tall, about 5 meters. This is what Vegapunk has made for a long time. It's not bad. 3 such things stand in the way of Chaton Tokikake, completely blocking his way to going. Beep. Without the slightest delay, one of the robots opened its mouth, and a yellow laser flashed out, blasting straight towards Chaton Tokikake. Tisk. With a wave of both hands, the tall mud wall rose up, blocking the robot's laser. Boom boom boom. A powerful explosion occurred suddenly. Woo. The wind was howling, tall mechanical monsters fell from the sky, and the huge mechanical fist had already smashed towards Chaton Tokikake. Hey! Chaton Tokikake's arm turned into a huge mud fist, wrapped in a powerful hockey, and punched it directly. Boom! The strong wind dissipated, and the huge force barely repelled the robot. Damn! Use hockey! What the hell is this? Chaton Tokikake shouted. Not kidding, this robot can use hockey, his fists are black. That is, at this time, on the edge of the sky, something flew over. Fujitora Admiral, don't waste any more time. Go to the Flower City now. Flank the Fire Dragon Pirates with the Beast Pirates. A voice that can be heard from far away. This is the will of the government. Chapter 798 Luffy and Lucci. The second encounter. Vegapunk has really done something amazing, which Chaton Tokikake has seen. These robots are part of research that has been started since Vegapunk was still a researcher under the government. The purpose of the plan above the PX plan is to create a powerful force that can replace the Shichibukai organization. The balance of the three major forces is still guaranteed before the top war, but this does not mean that the government really has no idea about the Shichibukai organization, and handed the key to maintaining world stability in the hands of a group of pirates. It's too stupid to look at it anyway. Therefore, after the PX plan has been basically completed, the D plan, which is the Destroyer plan, and the Destroyer plan are officially launched. Of course, at the beginning stage, Vegapunk was robbed by Vlad, which a plan also continued under Vlad's command. It's not just a mere mechanical creation, but a technology that mixes genetic technology and lineage factors. The robots created by the D-Plan are not pure robots. Although they look like robots, it is true, but if they have to count, they should. It is an artificial man, a transformed man, with steel as its bones, but it is indeed wrapped in flesh and blood. So, of course, they also have the basic conditions to use hockey. Damn stuff. Chaton Tokikake looks very annoyed. Decisive battle mode unfolds. In front of Chaton Tokikake, the three androids suddenly changed, and their bodies began to transform towards the shape of beasts. Soon, three huge lions had appeared in front of him. Still capable. Chaton Tokikake is almost stunned. These guys. Aren't they robots? Since they are flesh and blood and living creatures, of course these guys can eat devil fruits. Fujitora Admiral. A group of people fell from the sky, and it was the group of people from the stream that was thrown over by the Sanyuan Hungry Wolf. Don't hesitate. From the current situation, Kaido has the upper hand. The government means that if such a situation occurs, kill the fire dragon. First priority, take down Vlad the fire dragon. With Kaido. Quote. The trident that was stabbed towards him was smashed with a sword. Fujitora's expression was a little gloomy, and then the man smiled. Sorry, I'm blocked now. Call. Sigh of relief, Katakuri frowned tightly. The opponent was indeed too difficult to deal with. Beep. Laser flickered, and a laser blasted toward Fujitora from behind Katakuri. But fortunately, he also has a helping hand. Cut. Hearing Fujitora's answer, and looking at Marine, who was fighting the Charlotte family and the D-series androids, Shiryu frowned. Is this development still happening? It was very easy for Fujitora to leave the battlefield. After all, he could fly, and it was quite easy to take Marine to the battlefield in the Flower City. But no, Fujitora didn't do that. If he went to flank the fire dragon with Kaido now, it would be to cooperate with the pirates. Where did he put the face of justice? Report like above. Shiryu took a phone bug out of his pocket. Dash. Call. In the green space, Sakata breathed a sigh of relief. Under the effect of the powerful recovery potion made by Paso, his injury has also improved. The essence of the green space of Dor fruit the sky overlaps with the real world, so he can see the outside world from this space, so he can always follow behind CP0 and Kurozumi Orochi. Ha ha ha, I really don't understand your government very well. Kurozumi Orochi slashed at random, and the powerful slash directly blew away the gathered flames, and a low laughter came out of his mouth. What's the point of dispatching 2 teams of CP0? Reason is of course very simple. The group led by Shiryu used to be prisoners who were imprisoned on the 6th floor of the Great Prison. Although they were recruited into CP0 in order to increase their combat power when they were at the top, it was not the case. It means they are really trusted by the government. You don't have to worry about it so much. The one headed by CP0 Feet's voice was very low, and there was a pigeon also wearing a white suit on his shoulders. Is everything ready for you? Of course. Kurozumi Orochi nodded. The cannon that can directly blow this flower capital to the sky has been completed. Of course, you still need your explosive rocks as cannonballs. That's fine. The head of CP0 nodded. It's up to Fujitora's choice now. I hope this step is not necessary. Yeah, it's better not to do this step. Kurozumi Orochi laughed. Wano-kuni is my territory after all. It would be a pity if it was destroyed like this. The current Wano-kuni is one step away from destruction. The leader of CP0 sneered. The only prosperous flower capital is now a sea of fire. Didn't you make preparations long ago to transfer many residents to another island? Because this island can no longer stay, there are only so few resources. Kurozumi Orochi sighed. If you want to develop further, you have to go out, but Wano-kuni is surrounded by turbulent ocean currents, and it is impossible to communicate with the outside world. It's better to change the place. The government has blocked information on Wano-kuni. The leader of CP0 said, the news of your joining the government should have spread to every place except Wano-kuni by now, you can rest assured. Hum hum hum. Kurozumi Orochi smiled. I've always been relieved. It's just ahead. It has been a long time without knowing it, Kurozumi Orochi said suddenly. Really? The leader of CP0 nodded. Then, we only need to wait for the above order. How the follow-up of this war will develop depends on Marine's choice. Ah. It was at this time that in the sky, the sound of shouting and shouting came. What? The head of CP0 raised his head and watched the pupils behind the mask of the guy who flew towards this side from a distance suddenly shrank. It's actually this guy. Crack. The man with the straw hat fell from the sky and fell heavily in front of a group of people, smashing a deep hole on the ground. Ah, I thought I was dead. Saying this to himself, the straw hat climbed out of the pit, patted the dirt on the straw hat, and buckled it on his head. A straw hat. The man with a dove on his shoulder whispered, you are so unlucky. Well. Straw Hat was stunned for a moment, then raised his head. The voice is a little familiar. Huh, dove. Then he saw the familiar-looking pigeon standing on the shoulder of the masked man. It's you. You keep pigeons. After 2 years, we finally meet again. Chapter 799 Government Decision. Is that so? Is that guy still refusing to follow orders? In the empty room, 5 old men are talking on the phone. At this time, in Wano-kuni, thousands of miles away, a war that determines the direction of the sea is going on. What will happen to the world is something these 5 old men are absolutely unwilling to give up and interfere. The world has been operating according to the wishes of the government for 800 years, and there can be absolutely no mistakes due to the appearance of a certain guy. Fujitora, this guy. The man with the bushy beard holds a phone bug in his hand and is talking to the person on the other side, still unwilling to cooperate. Rejected us again, rejected the government's order. What a pedantic fellow. Gorosei, 5 elders with blonde hair standing in front of the window to one side whispered, wouldn't it be a pity to miss such a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity? This is the only step to get the dragon pirates. Shiryu. Now that Fujitora is being held back. The bearded Gorosei, 5 elders exclaimed, then you'll help them deal with their opponents now. That way, that bastard Fujitora has no more excuses. Amount of the phone, Wano-kuni, near the beach near the flower capital. Shiryu looked helpless. Sir Gorosei, 5 elders, this kind of thing could be done before, but crackling. His body twisted abruptly, avoiding the thunder and lightning that fell from the sky. Shiryu's tone was a little helpless. It seems that it can't be done. It's like we are here, and the reinforcements from the fire dragon's side are also here. Giaaaaaa. Quote. Gi. In the sky, there were already thunderclouds, and a man with thunder and lightning was standing not far away. The surging thunder and lightning jumped from him. Nearby, little monsters gathered once, grinning towards this side, and at any time will attack. CP0, who was rushing over, wanted to fight the Charlotte family with Marine. Enel had already rushed over with a dozen chimeras. In terms of the strength of the reinforcements, it seemed that the Fire Dragon Pirates side is more superior, and the two sides have completely stalemate. We are helpless now. Shiryu said so. That's it. Back in power, the Gorosei 5 elders talks continue. Damn the dragon. So much power out there. The D-series androids are capable of replacing Shichibukai's level of terror, and the chimeras are the pinnacle of genetic technology. Even the vice admiral of the headquarters is not easy to take them down. The number of officers of the Fire Dragon Pirates. Not many, but with these things added, the so-called 4 Emperor Pirates would seem a little weak in front of them. This is the trouble. Vegapunk is on the dragon's side. Gorosei, 5 elders with long beards said, that bastard Kaido has no secrets to him and will never be a match for the dragon, and Fujitora is held back again and can't get past, if the dragon and Kaido separate and win. Negative, it's too late. Even if Marine is in the past, he won't be able to win. Damn, only the fire dragon has to be dealt with. The Lord will wake up soon. Do you want him to see such a sea? It looks like you were messed up by that guy from the fire dragon. Even if that bastard Fujitora wasn't dragged, he wouldn't have passed. Bald Gorosei, 5 elders looked a little angry. It's totally against Marine's justice to cooperate with pirates. These guys are getting more and more disobedient. So, gently covering the phone bug and hanging up, the bearded Gorosei, 5 elders whispered, order. The 4 emperors are now dead in name only. The bearded Gorosei, 5 elders said, once the fire dragon is killed, even if we let Kaido go, Marine's strength is a bit too strong compared to the 4 emperors. Even if there is an opponent of the Revolutionary Army, Marine's strength is still too strong. It seems too powerful. Marine is the most powerful organization in the world for granted. Even the current Fire Dragon Pirates is definitely not an opponent. The other 4 emperors can only stand aside. The 4 emperors together may be able to wrestle with Marine. It is also wishful thinking to win. If the Dragon Pirates are destroyed in this battle, then even if the Beast Pirates are not destroyed in the subsequent Marine raid, there are only 2 pirate camps of the 4 emperors who want to compete against Marine. Just wishful thinking. Perhaps, the era of the great pirates will end like this. However, the government does not want to see such a situation. Marine, it is better not to be too strong, at least, not too much stronger than their opponents. And Bald Gorosei, 5 elders crossed his hands, rode his chin, and said, that guy Fujitora, I still can't trust him. After all, he is Marine who is a halfway monk, and his self-worth is more than his identification with the government. The last time he had a relationship with that Jack interaction may be a symptom. Quote. Then it's decided. The sword-wielding Gorosei, 5 elders said solemnly, notify that side, destroy the entire Wano-kuni, and put everything on that Kurozumi Orochi. The matter of providing him with dynamite rocks is not on Marine's side either. What is the secret? But there is a slight deviation in the quantity, that is, because he was invaded, he wanted to kill the fish and destroy everything. Blast the entire Wano-kuni to the sky. As a result, the Dragon Pirates, the Beast Pirates, the Warriors of Wano-kuni, and all destroyed by the explosion of the dynamite rock. If you're lucky, maybe that guy Kaido won't die. Bald Garose, 5 elders put it this way, it would be better if that guy survived. If he dies, it's nothing. It's also possible to support a few pirates to reach the top. In short, all things have only one purpose. The long-bearded Garose, 5 elders exclaimed, let this chaotic sea settle down and re-establish a stable order in this world. At least, during the period of time when the Lord is sober. Then that's the decision. Sword-wielding Garose, 5 elders said solemnly, resolve the turbulent factors on both sides of the marine pirates at one time, let the world return to the right path again, and ensure the balance of the world. Protect the world that the adult loves. This is my duty to wait. Then give the order. Bald Garose, 5 elders say so. Justice exists for the sake of the government, so if it is for the sake of the government and the world, even sacrificing justice must be nothing. Before anyone knew it, the most brutal order had been issued, and a devastating disaster was imminent. Please subscribe. At it recently, all subscriptions have gone crazy, and I feel a little apprehensive. This book has reached the late stage, and there is only a little bit of content left before the end. Not to mention the excellent products before the end, at least don't be insecure at the end of the season. I still hope that you will support me, and I will also try my best to write the final content well and strive for a good ending. Well, the last wave of bounties is now down to 2,790. For every 10 increase, please add one more. Please don't pity me. Pirates of Fire Dragon Roar, ask for a wave of subscriptions. It's in hand, please wait a moment. After the content is updated, please refresh the page again to get the latest update. Chapter 800 Potion to Kaido. Cut. Damn woman. Jin looked very angry. The awakened ancient saber-toothed tiger fruit gave him great speed and strength. In addition to his extremely powerful physique, this man was so powerful that he was definitely the most frightening bunch in the sea. One of the people, X23 US. Com updates fastest. But it is such a strong man, but there is no way to take the woman who has been using the power of clothes moth to make his subordinates kill each other, because the one who stands in front of him is a guy who is not weaker than him at all. I won't let you pass. The chef opened his mouth and said, the surrounding ground has completely melted, and he is also an awakened Paramesha fruit power user. Then you are courting death. Kim said so. Try it. The chef laughed. Dash 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 dash. He 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 he. Some infiltrating laughter spread throughout the battlefield. The huge figure has swelled to the size of a giant. The terrifying height of more than 20 meters is such that anyone standing in front of him will feel heartfelt fear, like a demon who penetrates the world. The same stalwart. Go to hell. A huge fist slammed on the ground, a violent earthquake suddenly occurred, the surrounding ground cracked instantly, and the dense cracks spread in an unknown distance. A huge pothole suddenly appeared, and the surrounding beast pirates the pirates were blown away like dust on the ground, and then fell heavily to the ground. Even those with artificial zone abilities were completely unable to resist Moria's terrifying power. 500 shadows in the gathering place of shadows. Gecko Moria. The huge crocodile that stood up charged towards this side. If you lose to the boss, don't be arrogant to me. Oh, a new disaster. It's no fun just being a soldier. Dash 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 dash. Surprisingly easy. The dense warheads on the arms shot up into the sky, causing bursts of explosions behind the beast pirates, the maid said. Go to hell, bastard woman. Above the sky, the woman whose arms had turned into wings flew towards this side, and the claws turned into feet were covered with pitch-black hockey, flashing with a cold light, and grabbed towards the head of the maid. Just in time. Maid smiled and said, did Quinn join the cadre of the beasts after he died in battle? Let me see your strength. Dash 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 dash. Get out of the way. The huge mammoth rammed through the crowd. The strong inertia brought by the huge size made him invincible. The thick fur and the defense brought by the strong haki made him indestructible. The combination of the strongest spear and the strongest shield, the man named Jack is unrivaled across the battlefield, whether it is a pirate under the fire dragon, or a soldier of the beast pirates who has turned his back because of Serena's ability, as long as the guy standing in front of him is directly bombarded fly. Stop it. With a low voice, a vigorous figure instantly appeared, blocking Jack's face, and a heavy punch hit Jack's forehead. Hey! With a low voice, the terrifying power made Jack take 2 steps back and shook his head, as if he was a little dizzy. Who are you, this guy? Crush. Pulling out the long sword from his waist, the big dog standing up whispered, Odin-sama's hatred, we also have to report a part of it. This kid is my opponent. The big cat with the trident descended from the sky and stood side by side with the big dog. Go away from me. That's what I want to say. Duke Inuarashi whispered. What, you bastard? The big cat, the shopkeeper of the cat-bellied snake was furious. Do you want to fight? Give me all to die. There was no more time for the two to quarrel, and the huge mammoth had already rushed over. Dash 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 dash. On the other side, in the central area of the Flower City, the battle between the two who really decided the direction of the war is still going on. Woo! The wind was howling, and Vlad, who was already wrapped in a layer of white, flapped the 3 pairs of wings behind his back, and his body rushed forward like a phantom. Fire Dragon. Kaido's body shape has changed, the original majestic body has become smaller, and the limbs are more slender. In his hands, the moon step, one of the Rokushiki, is more skilled than most marines. Walking in the air is better than walking in the air. Walking on the ground is even more relaxed and wishful, constantly changing trajectories in the air. Although the speed is not as fast as Vlad, it is equally astonishingly fast. Hey! Vlad smiled, his body twisted abruptly, his chest twisted as if he had no body, avoiding Kaido's punch, and then, the flame spewed, the trajectory of the movement stopped abruptly, and flashed in the other direction. Cut! Kaido gritted his teeth, and his body still flew towards the empty direction under the action of inertia. Crack! The right leg hurriedly stepped on the air, and the orientation of the body was about to change. However, this moment of time is enough. Hey! Vlad smiled, and his right palm flashed with a strong brilliance, as if holding the sun in the palm of his hand. Touch of hell! Kaido in the back with a ready blow. Bah! The sour sound, the sound of the fire burning fat, even the haki that has been covered in color in time, but the amazing heat combined with the amazing strength makes Vlad's palm like a laser sword. Extremely penetrating, a small hole is opened directly behind Kaido. Ah! With a scream of pain, it was obvious that a hole in the back was not a good thing for Kaido. Boom! Then, the right leg was also wrapped in a layer of black haki, and the shining light spread. Dragon Fist Supernova Explosion. A whip kick slammed into Kaido's back, and a huge explosion occurred. The flames rushed to the clouds, and Kaido was instantly blown away by Vlad. Yeah! Flapping his wings, Vlad hovered leisurely in the air, sighing, the guy who used to be only able to look up, is no more than that now. Kind of. The feeling of being different. Fire Dragon. Unharmed at all, Kaido charged towards Vlad as if nothing was wrong. Compared with Kaido, Vlad had overwhelming dodge ability and speed. At that time, Kaido also had overwhelming recovery ability for Vlad, even if the dragon fruit had awakened. Vlad still couldn't keep up with him. So do I still have to use this thing in the end? Vlad smiled helplessly and took out an injection from his arms. Produced by Vegapunk, a special potion for Kaido,